What is up, everybody, and welcome to today's Benzinga Bootcamp, where we got a lot of topics to cover, but the main thing is how to trade through volatility, which is going to be key, especially because today we've got Fed Day. How much is the hike going to be, if any? Is it going to be 75, 100? No clue, but regardless of the answer, we're going to try to learn how to trade through volatility here today on Benzinga's Bootcamp. And of course, I'm not the only one hanging out with you today. It's going to be my man, Lord Ryan. It's been a minute since we've called him that. So let's bring Lord Ryan onto the show with us as well. Lord Ryan, man, I need to see that certificate of yours. I feel like I haven't seen that ever. So I don't know if you have it in your closet, if it's in the safe box at the bank.
Just on my desk, my man. Just on my desk in the certificate frame or whatever.
I love it. I love it. Well, appreciate you hanging out with us.
No
I
problem.
believe we've got an intro special one for Benzinga Bootcamp. So we'll go ahead and run that right now. Awesome. Love that. Shout out to Enver, Michael, anyone else that may be a part of that intro there. But Ryan, trading through volatility is what we've got. And of course, taking a look at the agenda here, of course, chapter 1, we're going to start things off with a bang. Ryan and myself are going to go through Benzinga live trading. We'll have a special third member coming to join us here, the third stooge, if you will. Since Mitch is out, we went ahead and got AB to come join us later on. And of course, chapter 2 at 11 o'clock. Is going to be from CME. They'll have some good information for us, especially leading up to the main topic here, which is chapter 3, trading through volatility with Suleman there. That'll be a lot of fun in the moneystocks.com. Make sure you check them out before and afterwards. That'll be at 11:35. And then we're going to end things off with chapter 4, which is going to be a town hall meeting, which will be redirected to another stream because you want to get perspective from different traders. And of course, we've got 4 to 5 of our best traders here at Benzinga that'll showcase how they trade through volatility, how they protect their portfolio and take advantage of the situation the market's providing you. Because, kind of like in basketball, you got to take what the defense gives you. In football as well, I guess in any sport. That's town hall, Ryan. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the town hall, having those 4 experts on the panel. Trading through volatility is not easy, right? And I'm hoping that the resources today help make this a little bit more clear for all of our viewers out there. I am incredibly excited for the town hall. I have cleared my calendar. I will be viewing it as well. I hope that all of you check that out. Should be a wealth of information, strategy, market concepts, and probably some deals in there too. So really, really excited for that, and excited to do some live trading here before the actual FOMC decision or whatever comes out, all that when that text comes out from that meeting. One of the things that we've seen, Zunaid, is that kind of leading up to this, it's kind of been boring almost. It feels like a lot of the market participants are actually waiting for this event to be behind us so that we have a little bit more certainty about what's going on and we can trade around that certainty.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's been Chop City, right? We've talked about the show. We've traded through Chop here yesterday. Thankfully, we had a good day, but it's been kind of Chop City. Here's the SPY, so we can kind of dive right in. You can see it was kind of within a range 2 days ago, except when it finally broke out the final 20 minutes or so, kind of within that range. Yesterday, still kind of within that range. No true real trend here. We were able to make some money going to the long side after, held VWAP and all that good stuff, but still, you can see that it's within a range, and you always got to look left. Look, we drew this little line here at 381.52, which was the pre-market low on the 19th of September. You can see right there is what I'm talking about, and it kind of played right into the support area, and it gave you a nice little ripper of about 3 to 4 points. So we will see how things play out here. I've got Ryan. I've got like a gym appointment at 2:30. And of course, when I woke up, I was like, dude, that's like right when homeboy starts talking. So I might have to text my trainer and be like, yeah, I'm going to skip leg day today for very good reason. Because I want to donate money to the market.
I was going to say, that's interesting that you make an appointment for the gym and you don't just show up, but you do.
I'm a personal trainer because I'm lazy.
I got you. I was going to say today might be a day where you call in sick, but you shouldn't skip leg day. If you skip it, make sure you make it up some other time. That's really important. However, today, let's focus on what's going to happen. And I'll say this going into this. My gut feeling from yesterday was that I think we probably close green today. I anticipate that we're going to get the 75-point raise. It seems to be priced into the market, or at least I think so. And I wouldn't be surprised if once this uncertainty is past us, we actually trade up. One of the things that we've been seeing with some of these meetings is that afterwards, the first move isn't always the one that holds, right? There seems to be a head fake. And that's one of the things that we're going to watch. Now, one of the interesting things that I noticed last night and then again this morning is that my relative volume scans that I run in the evening, it produced nothing for today. And when I look at the movers tool today to look at some of the stocks that are gapping, there's not very much on it either. And I think that kind of leads back to a lot of participants are waiting for this event to pass so we can have a little bit more certainty. So we'll see if that's the case. We're still going to look on the scanner. We're still going to look for some plays today. And of course, we're going to watch how the market participants trade the SPY and some of the other indices.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, hey, why don't you go ahead and kick things off for us by reviewing your charts, and then I'll go ahead and take it from there. What you got?
Okay, sounds good. So the first one here, and this is probably going to be our best opportunity, at least so far, is going to be EVAX. EVAX trading up here. We had a high of 359. We do have a PR from this morning. Important milestone reached for Evaxion, I hope I'm saying that right. Biotech's EVX-01 personalized cancer therapy. So looks like this is a skin cancer, begin a trial for immunotherapy for skin cancer. So we've seen this with a lot of these biotech stocks when they mention, cancer, heart disease, diabetes. We often see a pronounced move, and we're seeing that here today. So we actually spiked up to 359, came back and bounced off 282. We're holding just above this 3 line. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and add another line to my chart here to represent that round number. We're kind of trading back up through that. I'd love to see it clear out this area here. Pretty decent volume. So I think a move through 320, 324 sets this up to the long side. What I'd really like to see is I'd like to see us close this gap up to 359 and then maybe even pop above it. So we'll see if we end up getting that. A couple of other things that I wanted to mention here. There are a couple of penny stocks that are gapping today, but in accordance with our regular practices and rules, or at least mine, I'm going to avoid trading these. Today, I think already might be a little bit of a odd day, and so I don't want to introduce anything else into my trading style. I'm not a huge fan of these penny stocks, but they are worth mentioning, right? This one here trading up. RA Medical shares are trading higher. The company announced the results of its special meeting of stockholders and a 1-for-50 reverse stock split. So we've seen some of these stocks that have reverse splits end up running. Looks like the market is preparing for that on RMED. WTRH, another one of these penny stocks, we gapped and we pretty much gave it all back. Still a little bit higher. Not going to trade it, but worth noting. Now, next one here is going to be AGRI. And we had the same thing here, right? We've traded all the way up to 215. We've come back in a little bit here, but we're still having some elevated volume in the pre-market. What I would really like to see is I'd like to see this make a move towards 190 on volume after the market opens. I think in the pre-market here, we could still kind of swing around. But if we get any type of big volume once the market opens, I'd love to see a move towards 190 and towards 2. I think if it gets enough momentum, the 215 level isn't out of the question today, but it's going to need some mo to get there. And the next one here, the AMPE is another one of these pennies. It's pretty much given back all of its pop here this morning. Again, I'm not going to trade this, but it is on there. PGY, this is actually one that we have traded before. And if we take a look, PGY had kind of a rough day yesterday, right? A huge gap down, really kind of bled down the rest of the day. Be interesting to see if we get a dead cat bounce here. Of course, these are all day trade targets. This is going to be intraday trades only. I'm not going to hold any of these, even if I do end up trading them, even if they set up, I'm not going to hold them overnight. So keep that in mind. For PGY, what I really want to see here is a move through 250. A move through 250 on volume here sets us up for trading up towards 275, and a pop above that sets us up to trading up towards 3. Now, I do think that we really need to kind of clear out this area that we were in yesterday, but the volume volume is going to tell the story. If the volume is elevated here today, more so than it was yesterday, I think we'll be in good shape. So as far as some of these smaller stocks, this is what I have. Of course, I'm going to use the relative volume scanner as soon as the market opens, and we'll be looking for plays off that as well.
Awesome. Appreciate that, Ryan. Definitely going to keep an eye on those small cap stocks and get your help into the entry and exits on those. But let's go ahead and check out the SPY here on my end. As we'll get, I don't have the controls. Somebody's got to throw my chart up.
Oh, I got you. Sorry
Thank
about
you.
that.
Appreciate you. No worries. No worries. Here we are checking out the SPY. We're going to adjust our levels. So we're going to adjust it to the to the 381.21, which was the low yesterday. And we're also going to take a look at what the high ended up being, which still going to keep the 390.23 there. But let's go ahead and mark. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one off here just so we can adjust our levels a little bit. And of course, make sure this is our high. And so that's what I've got right now. You can also take a look at the fact that you've got 386.50. That was the high pre-market here just a few moments ago. And then, of course, you've got the low, which is going to be around 384. But for now, this is kind of a range that I'm keeping an eye on. It's a bigger one than I typically have on the SPY, but we'll see if it tries to go ahead and break out above this level here. Actually, where is the... I'm gonna keep an eye on the SPY. I'm not gonna make any moves just yet because if it was a little bit lower, I would try to go short here. Ideally, the degenerate in me wants to go ahead and short it right off of this 386.50 and see if it doesn't break out from there. We might do that. Matter of fact, we've got about 15 minutes. So let me go to the SPY here. I'm gonna take a very small size, and I'm talking very small size just because it's a bit of a risky trade. So I'm going to put in the 386.25, even including pre-market. I'm going to go short. Let's see if I get executed on that. Okay, for some reason I haven't gotten executed yet, but when I do, I will let you guys know because E-Trade will let me know. That's what we've got. And then with stop loss for me is going to be above the 386.60 area on the SPY. So we'll let you guys know if I go ahead and get filled on my short. Looks like SPY just wants to continue dropping, but hopefully I'll get filled. Let's go ahead and move on to the Qs on this one. Kind of like a similar story. You have your pre-market pop here around the 290.22s, and now it's come down just a little bit. We'll see where it wants to test, but you've got the low here in pre-market around the 288.15. So that's a level that we can keep an eye on and see where the market wants to go in terms of the Qs. Looks like I did go to get filled on my short at 386.25. So I am short the SPY SPY at 386.25. Let's go ahead and check out Apple. This has been strong. I mean, Apple and Tesla has been strong, has been helping keep the market higher than it would have been otherwise, in my opinion. We've got levels here already. So you've got the 158 that I expect to be resistance. I'm going to go and remove this one here now. And then the 155, this one was a breakout area yesterday. Could not pop above. Then when it finally did, it made a beautiful move, 3 points to the upside. And then I was waiting here in the afternoon session. I was waiting around the 155, 10 or 15 just to go and get a pop above. Unfortunately, I missed the entry by 30 cents and it gave a $2 move. So this time we'll see if we can get around 158. That's when I'll go short on Apple. And then if it wants to come back down to around the 155s, I will look to go long Apple to go ahead and scalp a little bit on that. Let's go ahead and check out Tesla now. Tesla here, look at how well the levels held. The 313.33 double top here could not hold it. As soon as it kind of cracked up below, went short in the afternoon session. You can see, have a little bit of drawings there where it cracked to the upside there. Now we're going to, let's get back to Tesla. There we go. A little bit of a bigger range here. You can see how well the 306 held. It was the low yesterday, and then it came back and tested it, couldn't break it, and it continued to the upside here. So we're going to make sure we move our sticks up there, and we'll see what the range is. It's about $5 on Tesla. So if it comes back above 310 to test it, I'd be interested in going long. Otherwise, could possibly be looking at a short. I'm going to go ahead and remove this one here. And so this is the range that I've got on Tesla myself. And of course, as always, we'll see what the options market tells us. But let's go ahead and check out AMD. AMD, we said 75 was the area to kind of take a hold of. It looks like it came down to 74.70s. And why is that? It's because if you go ahead and look left, you can see here 75 held. 75 held. It went 30 cents below. But again, if you look left, you can go ahead and see that's where support came in for the last couple of days. and that's where you saw a bounce as well. So to me, if it goes ahead and cracks 75, especially 74.70, wants to come back up and test it, we can go ahead and go short if it doesn't break, because this support can easily turn into resistance, especially after FOMC, depending on how the market reacts to that and Fed's comments and things like that as well. So that's what I've got on AMD to the downside. Let's go ahead and check out NVIDIA, because this one was, I think they presented their new chips and all that stuff yesterday, but afterwards it came right back down. So the levels on NVIDIA for me are going to be about the 130.50s. So we're going to go ahead and mark that right there. I'm going to go ahead and remove this one now. And of course, you've got the high, which is approximately 134.84. So we'll see how NVIDIA opens up. We'll have the previous close right around here or so. And we'll see if NVIDIA wants to go ahead and come down, test it, or if it pops above the 134.84 level there. Amazon was waiting for this one near the 120s, could never get it. But Amazon, if it pops above 123, it could be interesting. You might be able to get 124, 125. I am definitely expecting a bit of chop going into FOMC, but we'll see what the market gives us. And this one, I'm a little mad that I missed yesterday. You had a beautiful opportunity to go ahead and short Netflix at the 250, and it's not just because of hindsight. If you've been watching the show, you know I love my whole numbers. You know I love playing off of them in terms of support, resistance, scalping them, and just what a beautiful rejection from the 250 gave you all the way down to about 7 points or so. So we're going to keep an eye on Netflix here as well to see if it kind of gets that same rejection. We're also going to keep an eye on the 240 level on Netflix to see where it wants to bounce from, if it wants to break down. So got those alerts set on that ticker as well. We've got about 11 minutes, so plenty of time. What's up?
I got two things real quick. So there's actually a pretty decent long trade there on Netflix too, right? That upward cross through the VWAP and then the break of yesterday's pre-market high sent it to that 250 high. That would have been an all right spot to play that long on the options. You'd have done pretty well there. So both a short and a long side trade on Netflix. We'll watch that today and see if we get any of that type of action. One more thing here, Zunaid, that I wanted to cover. This actually happened while I was talking, so this is pretty fresh. We did get some news on Peloton here, right? United Healthcare, part of the United Healthcare Group, and Peloton have renewed and expanded their relationship to help more people get or stay active and improve their overall well-being. So if we take a look at the chart when this PR dropped, one of the things that you'll notice is that we spiked and then we dropped. So a couple of things to note from this particular piece of news. Thank you, Benzinga Pro, for delivering this, by the way. This is an expanded agreement, right? So this is not a new agreement. This is an expanded agreement, and that's good, but I don't think that that's going to have the same punch. The other thing that we can tell from the drop is that there still might be some larger issues behind the scenes at Peloton. Great that they're trying to get more people to get and stay active. That's never a bad thing. Some of this expanded partnership is going to give United Health customers discounts on some of the fitness equipment. Also a great thing. But I don't think an expanded partnership is going to cover up some of the structural issues that exist. So I wouldn't necessarily just think that this is an expanded partnership, more money, everything's going to be fine. We might get some trades out of this, but they might be short-lived trades. And again, that news literally just came out while we were talking about that. So just wanted to cover those things before we actually get started here. We got about 9 more minutes.
Sweet. Appreciate that insight there. You can now see Peloton is below $10 and 1020, 1022 or so seems to be a little bit of resistance there. So we'll see how that reacts. But obviously 1050 is where it went ahead and stopped on its own. But if you guys in the chat have any tickers you want to take a look at, please let us know. If you want to throw it back to my screen, I can go through a couple of them there. And Luke, we hope your physical therapy goes well.
We always do. I got to say, Luke's one of the tougher people that I met. I just worked the event with him, forgot he even had an injury because he just was working so hard. It didn't even really show. So I'm confident in Luke's ability for that physical therapy. Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
One more thing here on Peloton. There actually could be a trade here through 10 too, right? One of the other things that we saw with Peloton in the past is that sometimes option sweeps actually drive this name. So it'll be curious to see if we end up getting some large or more unusual options on Peloton right around the open here. To me, that would give it a little bit more juice to the upside, but we'll see what happens. We'll have to wait for the market to open.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. I kind of want to go short Apple against the 157.50, but I'll stick to my SPY short, which, we're We're in the money by 14 cents. Yahoo, but it's a small position. So unfortunately, we can't just retire on that today. But at least we're in the green. We've got some money that we can take off the table. But we won't. We won't take some money off the table just yet. It looks like someone wants us to look at PFE, I
Google.
believe is what
We
Pfizer
got
is. And I'll go to Google as
Pfizer,
well.
Amazon, Microsoft, and Ford from our chat. So we can roll through those here real quick.
Sure can. On Pfizer, let me see here. It looks like the level of 45.50 seems to be a bit of resistance. You can see that on 2 days ago, right over there. And then if we want to look for the downside, let's go to the daily because I don't have anything right off of the 10-minute there. Obviously, we're in a downtrend here on Pfizer. Let's see if we can draw some pretty things. Oh, what do you know? You actually can. So that's your trend line there. It's to the downside, obviously, on Pfizer there. Would not be surprised. You can see how this support has kind of broken on the 45.34. So now we're even lower than that. Once you reclaim that, let's see if there's a gap fill that needed to happen. Looks like that gap fill there was obviously taken care of. But once you go ahead and maybe find support at 44, then you can possibly try to get back up and maybe test this trend line for a breakout. So don't necessarily have a good read, but you can go ahead and at least draw this on the daily and get yourself an idea and pay attention to the 10-minute and, of course, the hourly as well. I use a 65-minute, but you can use whatever you please there and see if you can find. If you can reclaim this 45, then you might be able to head to the upside, and you know where your risk is, and it's going to be the low end. Is you're risking about 50, 60 cents there on that one. And of course, Ryan, if you have anything specific that you want to go over, you let me know. I'll just continue yapping on here.
Let's just roll through these. I will say that chart on Pfizer doesn't look very healthy at all. That's
no, it does not.
Looking chart for the long side there. So
yeah, no, it does not. But here's Google. Let's go ahead and check out Google. Google could be interesting for me. I was waiting for that $100 dip, but unfortunately, it only came down to 101 on Google. So I love my whole numbers. I talked about it on Netflix. So now it's for me. Look at this beautiful. Oh man, these whole numbers just work out so well sometimes. It popped up by what? Maybe $1, just a couple of bucks, and it came right back down towards the now 100. So keep an eye on Google. You can see how well the $100 held here. And of course, I don't know if this was pre-split, after split, whatever the case may be, but you can see how well $100 held here. And I believe we've got a gap to fill right down here. What do you think, Ryan?
That looks like a gap to me. It looks pretty gappy all the way down to what, 94, 94 and a half?
Looks like 97, 74 is what I've got. So would not be surprised if it breaks 100. So you can try to play. What's up?
That last green candle right before the gap was very difficult to see on your.
Oh yeah, no, it's on me. But two ways to play this, in my opinion. $100 gal. Wow, what in the world am I saying today? You've got $100 scalp play if you want it. I tried to say gap and scalp apparently, but you've got $100 scalp play to the upside there. And then if it breaks 100, comes back to test it and cannot break it, you can play to the downside and see if you can get that gap fill. That's about $2-3 to the downside after 100 breaks, and we can go ahead and do that there. We've got a minute here. Do you want to give a quick 30 to 60 second breakdown on a gap fill for Gene?
Yeah, sure. I'll let you.
I'll interact it. Yeah.
I was going to say, do you think you could zoom in on that gap so it's just a little bit easier to see?
One moment. But you continue talking. I got you.
Yeah. So one of the things that Zunaid is talking about here when it comes to playing some of these gaps is there's an adage that all gaps eventually get filled. And so what Zunaid is thinking here is that if you break into that yellow colored area, you are in the gap. And he expects that to stop, or expects the stock to bounce at the bottom of the gap. So this area that's highlighted in yellow is effectively the area that Zunaid is trying to capture. He's trying to buy an instrument that appreciates as the stock price moves through that area. In this case, it's moving through the downside, so he's looking to get puts on Google. Gaps like this, you're going to see them all over the place. You're going to see them all the time in all different kinds of names, and you're going to see the price behave differently around the bottom end and the top end of the gap. And so this is what Zunaid's trying to do here. And Zunaid, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're trying to come up with a trading plan. If this happens, then do this. There's no emotion involved in that. It's all about technical parameters being hit. So these trades are they're pretty frequent. We see gaps a lot. A lot of the times this will work. And it looks like that's, manage your risk, right, Zunaid? You're trying to capture that area. It may work, it may not, but you've got some clear signs on whether or not that trade's going to materialize.
Yeah, and we'll see how things play out, but at least you guys kind of know that there is a gap fill below. So if it breaks 100, you have an idea of how you can play that one. Let's go ahead and take a look at a couple more, as we've got about less than 3 till the market opens here. What was the other one? Amazon, we already went
one more
through
thing
there.
to
What's
add
up?
before you move on. Keep that screen up here real quick.
I
I was doing that too slow. The other thing here about gaps, right, is that these might be bounce points. So even if you don't trade, Alt-R should reset the chart. If you don't trade the actual breakdown that Zunaid just talked about, you might also see the stock bounce at the bottom of that yellow rectangle, and then you would be able to trade this to the long side. So another reason why it's important to kind of mind the gap, if you will, make sure you know where those levels are, because those might be support and resistance points and areas where the stock price turns around from whatever direction it's going in.
Awesome. Well, we'll have producer AT play some music as the market gets going here in less than 2 minutes. We talked about Ford. By the way, we gave you guys this Ford short. We said, look, if it bounces at 14, you take it for a scalp. If it breaks it, you play it to the downside. I did not get the bounce on 14, so I did lose money on that one. But once it broke and it flushed all the way down, couldn't get right back above it, got a chance to go ahead and short it around VWAP. And you can see it was just a whole fade on through. So now you've kind of got your level set. You know you've got support at 13 bucks, right? So let's go ahead and mark that territory there. So if the stock wants to come down 24 cents, matter of fact, I might just go ahead and put an order in here on Ford. Give me a second, please, to purchase some at $13.03 on Ford. That order is in already, and it looks like we were in the money by 24 cents on our SPY short, as the SPY is coming right back up. Less than a minute left to go, but that's what I've got on Ford, and 14 bucks. I expect that to be a little bit of resistance as well. And if you wanted to play it, you could play it off of the 1337 as well, which was support yesterday. But once it cracked, it retested it here, could not get back above, and to the downside we went. But here we go. Market's about to open. I'm going to open up a 3 box here. There we go. We're going to have SPY to the left. We'll have we'll have big dog Tesla, and then we'll go ahead and have Apple to the right. And of course, if Ryan's taking a look at any stocks, he can go ahead and let me know.
I'm watching EVAX out of the open. Good morning, Judge. Great to see you.
EVAX is what you've got. That's to the right. Nice little uptrend here for the past 30 minutes or so. And we are about to get going here in 3, 2, 1, and good luck, everybody. Here we go. Let's see. We got the SPY. Again, I'm short the SPY at 386.25. Stop loss for me is going to be 386.50s on the SPY. We'll see which way that goes.
EVAX first move here is down. We got the VWAP at 313, trying to pull to that area. We'll see if we get any type of bounce here, if we just snap the EVAX first move here.
And you've got the SPY that went all the way up to 386.50s and came right back down. So not out of that one just yet. IMTE looks like to be moving, and there's Tesla going up against the 310 level. I am a little tempted here to go short Tesla, but it already broke through. Here, let me see what the shorts look like. Just going to grab one contract here. I grabbed the, oh my God, that's not one contract. Grabbed the 308.33 puts, got filled at 588 on Tesla. If it breaks to 310.50, it'll be a quick out for me. And I'd rather know if I'm wrong sooner than later. And you've got an out for me here on the SPY. Going to go ahead and get out of that one. Covering my short on SPY.
EVAX trying to go here. Took out that 327 area after the bounce at VWAP. A little bit of carry through here. We might be able to scalp this. No. Breaking back down towards the VWAP. One of the things that I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to not do any front running. Front running has been one of the things that has gotten me hurt. And lo and behold, if I had tried to front run that 327 break, I'd be down 17 cents here on this trade. So glad we waited on that. Again, a day like today, going to be a little bit more tactical. Move here on EVAX, not to the upside so far. This may set up again, so we're going to continue to watch that.
Tesla here rejecting off of the 310.50, coming to the downside now. I'm going to look to take some profits around the 610, 620 area. I'm about 30 cents away from that, though, so I need a little bit more push to the downside. I need Tesla to maybe go ahead and test the 309s, maybe even 308.73, which is the previous close indicated by the purple dotted line that you see there. But if it breaks the 310.50, I will go ahead and exit my Tesla put. Only got one for fun because I like the level, but I wasn't too confident in it, and I wanted to see how the market reacted. I wanted to participate. Here's the 610. Looking to get out at 610 if I can. Oh, come on. Didn't get to fill it. The ask was at 610, but it did not fill me. So we're still here waiting to get out of that single contract that we have on Tesla as the SPY is coming to the downside now.
Sorry to
expiration. My apologies. Expiration is for this week. So the 23rd of September. Apologies if I didn't make that clear. And I am in the 308.33 puts. Got them at 588, looking to get out around 610, 6. We're going to hold on to it a little bit, especially if the SPY comes back down. Let's see. Up. What are you going to do, Tesla? What are you going to do, Tesla? Tesla about 50 cents away from stopping me out. Your EVAX is moving to the upside now a little bit.
Yep. They yanked it right back down to that VWAP. We've actually cracked it a little bit and then bounced off of it. So we'll see if we can go a little bit higher here. The main supply here seems to be between 330 and 313, 314. So getting out of this consolidation area is going to be good, or going to be imperative for a directional trade here. We'll see.
All right, here we go. 625. I'm out of the Tesla put. So that's a quick 30 bucks for me. Just wanted to start the day off green. As you can see now, the market has just moved to the downside, and Tesla also moving down as well. The highest was 310.50. You've got a couple of bearish flow coming in on JPM, but it's not big enough to grab my attention. But there's a Tesla trade now going to the downside. You've got about 635 on the ask. So hopefully you guys are able to understand why I wanted to take that trade and why I gave it a little bit of wiggle room there. And now you've got the market coming down. Do expect some chop. So, be careful. Take your profits quickly. And if EVAX, let me go ahead and pull up that here on my E-Trade. If EVAX goes ahead and comes down to $3.01, I'll go ahead and try to give it a shot. See if we can play that bounce from $3. We're about 10 cents away from that. Phil, SPY coming down. Tesla, long wick on that end as well. And Apple's near the 157.70s.
TRCT, interesting here. We had a PR this morning about a phase 1 and 2 trial of the Cancer Immunotherapy Conference.
What was it? PRCT?
TRCT, Tango Charlie Romeo Tango. We actually traded up to 275 in the pre-market. Now we've bled those gains back down to balance here right as the market opened. But I did just see some calls come in. 1,000 calls for the 250 call that expires October 21st. Now these are cheapies. This is only $60,000 total trade premium, but interesting to see those coming in. Also seeing some calls coming in on Fubo here.
Yeah, Hershaw, welcome to the show. If I ever forget to call the expiration, obviously, please go ahead and ask, but assume that it's always going to be the closest expiration. That's the way I like to trade. So assume that, but obviously check the price as well, right, to kind of match things up there. But I'll do a better job of calling out what I'm trading at. Now you've got EVAX, hasn't come down to $3, but you've got Fubo that's kind of moving after the $4.50 calls came in on the ask here. And now you've got Apple to the upside above 158, cracking that level, as Tesla is now still relatively weak compared to an Apple. And Apple is strong compared to Mother SPY over here, which is to the downside, at least in the first 10 minutes. Obviously, the SPY is still green. Apple is still green as well. I'm just talking about the opening first 10 minutes here. SPY's got a low now of about 385.40s. Apple moving to the upside. Not seeing any clear flow to help me out with direction, so I'm not going to.
Ford calls.
Not Ford.
Yep, 13.5 expires September 30th. Bought 5,000 of them.
Oh, did it come down to that? No, it did not. So you've got 1309. Yeah, if you wanted to take Ford, you could go ahead and start nibbling on your position around 1310. And if you go ahead and grab some around 1310, then you can go ahead and grab some around 1302s or so if it wants to come all the way back down. Who's buying, who's selling, I don't know, but hopefully as long as they make the trades in my favor, we'll be all right, Sabrina.
As long as everything goes well, we'll be fine.
Yeah, but like, what's well? You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Exactly.
What is well. A part of me wants to go ahead and go short on Apple from this 158.50 or against it rather and have that be my risk off area. But got about 3 minutes till the first 10-minute candle closes. Nice little wick on both ends here. FOXO.
FOXO, yeah.
Let's see that one. FOXO. Woo, that one's moving to the upside. Going for about 258 now. Nice little support there at 225 and a bounce to the upside. Clears the pre-market highs as well. Continues to go now. 269. This one's got plenty of room as it. Oh, yeah, this one definitely has room if it wants to go. Might be a good idea to play this one near VWAP to kind of get the best risk reward in your favor. Would not be surprised if this one halts as well if enough buyers get involved. Looks like I did go ahead and get filled on EVAX at 301. What's up?
FOXO. Interesting here is that we took out this was what, yesterday? Yeah, we took out the after hours high that FOXO made. Well, I tried to trade this the other day. Took a pretty small loss on it though. Really couldn't get out of its own way. It'll be interesting to see if this pop holds and gives us any more of a push here. We're actually breaking. I'm not in this, by the way. The break here was 263, so we were a good 10 cents above it. It'd be interesting to see if we can make a move towards, looks like 279 would be my next level here on FOXO. So we'll see if we can get there.
308s, I'm going to go ahead and scalp some on EVAX. Scalped half at 308s, looking to get 310s, 315s, and maybe hold on to some above 320. But I am going to lock in some gains here. As you got FOXO moving to the upside now, looking to break the 280s. And there's Apple coming right back down below the 158 level. Obviously, I wanted to short that one against the 158.50. I did not do it. Taking some more out on EVAX here at 310s. Out some more. Now I've got about a quarter size left. Next spot for me is about 315.
Nice.
And I'm going to hold the remainder on. Yeah, and I'm going to hold the remainder, see if it wants to move up above 320. But that's what I've got. So the reason I bought that, $3, hold number. I love those areas. And I was going to give it about 5 to 10 cents of a move to the downside against me. But we were able to make some money on EVAX. Make sure you follow your own execution and your own plan on that. Let's see if there's anything else moving down here. Let's see what Mother Spy's doing. That's nice, solid. I mean, look at this, right? Just no real direction here. You've got a couple of stocks moving. Here's ADM. Looks like you've got the $90 calls coming in on ADM to the upside that expired this week. If it goes ahead and clears this 88.70, you can get a little bit more upside movement. If you are interested in ADM, might want to wait for it to possibly come back and test VWAP, which is around 88. So might have a limit order there at around $88.10 or so. Your downside risk, in my opinion, if I was taking the trade, would be around 87, 80s break. So you're risking about 20 cents or so. Apple now closed that 10-minute candle above VWAP. And let's see what we kind of get in terms of movement. Let's go ahead and check out if Tesla ever bounced right back up. What's up?
Daily chart here on Coty, COTY. This actually looks pretty good. We were up a little bit, or we were up in the pre-market. We kind of pulled back from the open, but we're trying to bounce here. But let me go ahead and put my screen on here. The daily chart here, this actually looks pretty good. Break above 843. Let's maybe even call it 850. I think maybe we go higher here. But I like this formation, and I would love to actually break out of this sideways consolidation zone. So we did have a PR here. They issued forward year 25 skincare sales guidance and raised its Q1 LFL sales growth expectations. So a decent PR here, market reacting well to it, traded up in the pre-market. And it looks like we're trying to bounce here. So I think if we hold this, maybe we can make a move higher here on Coty. Nice little daily chart set up there.
Yeah, that's a good looking chart. We'll see if we're able to play that.
Again. Sava spiking over yesterday's after hour high as well.
Let me see.
Did we have any more news on this morning? No.
Taking some more out here at 315s on EVAX. So that's 15 cents in the money in our favor. Now waiting for a pop above 320 to see if we can make some noise above that. Tesla now coming to the downside a little bit. You've got Apple flirting with the VWAP on the left-hand side as well. And then SLNG.
And now you have EVAX.
Has been halted.
Now you have EVAX looking like EVAX wants to kind of curl and make a move towards those highs. Got a couple of wicks here too on EVAX on those candles. Definitely looks like it's pushing up here. I think a breakout of 327. We could probably scalp this to the upside. I'm tempted to front run, but I don't want to, Zunaid.
There it goes. There's a pop above. Now you've got 325s. What are you going to do, EVAX?
Stop here right at VWAP. See if we can break out of that 327 area, maybe pop into the 330s. Just got to clean this area up of supply. It looks like we tried to do that on some of these pops. Maybe we get another one here. Stop out at 3 at VWAP here.
Apple coming back up a little bit here. Let's go ahead and check out Tesla as well. Tesla, nice little move back above VWAP itself. Let's see. What do I want to do with this one? What do I want to do with this one? Part of me wants to go long on Apple. What to do? I'm gonna hold off. I don't want to.
You don't want to do
force
too
a
much
trade
too early.
Yeah. I'm gonna hold off. We've had a nice trade on EVAX. We'll let that one play out, as that's the only ticker that I'm currently positioned in, and that's from $3.01.
You still have the trailer from 301?
Very small size, like 10% left. We'll probably try to sell some around 330, 5%, and then we'll see if we can get 345s on the remaining 5%. But majority of it, I am already out.
This resistance here between 325 and 328 is pretty good. Every time they push it up into that resistance, they bring it back down here. Trying to bounce it off VWAP. They're trying to go higher here, but they just don't have the juice to do it yet. This is one of the reasons why volume is going to be so important on these trades, because you really want to have a bunch of that bunch of that juice to really kind of push you into the next level.
Yeah, let's see if they end up getting a little bit of volume. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit to my position, because that's the type of person I am. 322 is my fill.
See that push right into that 326 looked good, and then immediately yanked it back. That's the behavior we've been seeing here this morning.
Here's the market coming back down. Apple to the downside. Apple new lows. Tesla now below VWAP as well. Come on, EVAX. Let's get that 330, baby. Come on. But yeah, there's Apple making new lows, continuing to the downside. Maybe the 156.90 could end up acting as support. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and try a quick scalp on Apple as well. Hopefully, EVAX doesn't go to the crapper in front of me. But 156.92 is my limit order on Apple if it wants to come back and try to scalp that area for me from the previous close. If it blows right through it, we'll give it about maybe 20 cents or so. Let you know if I go ahead and get filled. Again, my add on EVAX is at the 322 level. If it goes ahead and cracks it's into the 319s, I will be out. So I've got hand on the trigger here for that one.
Still waiting for a break above this 326 area.
I'm going to go ahead and get out right here. I don't like the movement on EVAX. I went and got out at 320s. So I went ahead and lost on my add 2 cents. I still have my original position, 10% of it from the 301s. And now my focus turns to Apple, as I've got a buy order on Apple. Oh, there's no way. So my buy order on Apple was 156.92. And this came all the way down to 156.93. So I missed my entry by a point. It went up, gave me a nice little scalp of 20 cents. That's kind of what I was trying to trade. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel my order now on Apple. Get out of that one.
Beyond Meat spiking here, not in it because I'm watching the EVAX trade here, but that kind of a crazy move here. Of course, we had that speaking crazy, we had that crazy story about the COO biting somebody yesterday, which is just absolutely wild. That coupled with the people cooking chicken and NyQuil, I don't understand what's going on with the world, but I digress. Anyway, with Beyond Meat, they yanked it right out of the open here and then bounced it hard. This pushing up towards 17.50. Got a good $1.50 here on this move. Be interested to see where Beyond Meat stops. Not in it. Didn't trade that one. That would have been the move right there, though. And it stopped out of EVAX here on a break back through the VWAP.
Wow, look at that wick. I'm not sure if that's a real wick or what happened, but apparently went all the way down to the 280s.
I did not. My stop executed correctly, thankfully.
I'm going to go ahead and just get out of this trade. I'm not sure what's going on with this one. So the ads that I had, the additional position I had at 301, I'm going to go ahead and get out of it right over here. I am looking to possibly go short Tesla, but I'm going to hold off. You do have a lot of flow coming into HD, which is Home Depot. So let me go ahead and put that one up here for you. And that's going to be, you've got the 290 calls. This is a little further out, though. You've got the 290 calls coming in on the ask, expiring January 19th. 2024, approximately $1.5 million worth on Home Depot.
Decent chart too on Home Depot. Let me
Yeah,
bring
I'm
up mine here.
scalping it here. So if you want to, do your thing. I'm gonna go ahead and take this trade. I'm gonna get out of this trade. All right, that was a quick 30 cents.
So Home Depot actually pretty decent here, right? Looks like this is kind of bouncing off of a support level. I'd actually, our discussion on gaps, not really a gap here because it's just kind of a full candle, but I would expect this to really kind of move back towards 290, maybe even 300. What was the expiry on those?
It was January 19th of 2024, and that's not even next year. That's the years after. And there's a pop on HD. Here, let me go and show if I can. Will you go ahead, do your thing?
Yeah, you're right. It's popping here. I like the daily chart here on HD. I like it for a curl, and I would suspect that given everything that's going on, maybe more people are trying to do home repair themselves to save some money that way. So I don't know. I like that. I like that one.
Let's see. Where is it? Not that. I
was going to say you're not sharing your screen.
I am not, but I'll go back to it. I was going to share my order entry here that I had on HD because I scalped it, and I was just going to show how quick of a scalp it was. But regardless, there is HD now. A whole dollar of a move up to the upside. What's up?
Mara, I'm a little late on it here. Mara, a huge move here. I'm looking over at Bitcoin. Bitcoin really took like kind of a staircase move up here. Nothing really volatile, just kind of grinded back up to this 19,300 level. Mara, on the other hand, is really spiking here on volume. We're up about what, 70 cents, 65 cents off the bottom here. Let's see if we have any. No, I don't. Nothing. There's a Form 8 in here. I don't really see anything that's making this move. Just really kind of a strong move here on Mara. We'll check some of the other Bitcoin names and see if those are moving in sympathy. First one I want to check is Riot. This came up on the relative volume scanner. Riot doing the same thing.
There's EVAX rejecting from VWAP, and Tesla's not going up against the 310 level and see if it can break above that or not. 310.50, I believe, is the high on Tesla, ticker TSLA. As you've got Microsoft moving to the upside here as well. MSFT now looking at 245.38. That's above the pre-market highs.
And as Mike was saying, SOXL running along with that. So that's taking Microsoft up. Interesting that Apple's kind of bucking that trend.
And look at this. We talked about AMD. We gave you guys the levels, and right around that area did it go ahead and work out. 74.70s kind of held there. Now you got yourself a 1-point move to the upside. Let's go ahead and see what SLGN is
Coinbase
doing here.
Moving up. Coinbase, that would have been a great one too. Does anyone know what's going on with this move on Bitcoin? No one cares about the Fed, Aaron. I wish that was true.
Yeah, that would have been nice. If that was true, then
Nvidia, big move here. So a lot of these names here, they yanked them and then they just absolutely smoked them.
SLNG halted to the upside. Couldn't play it because I don't play halts like this. But if you're in this stock, that's awesome. Good for you. It looks like 509s.
It looks area so
was
thin,
the
Zunaid.
low. Yeah. Not even sure where I'd try to play this one, to be honest. Maybe around $7, but even that's kind of a bit of a tough decision there. Let's go back to Tesla and see if it broke that 310.50. It did not, but it's looking to do so. EVAX, man, they keep finding buyers, and there's the pop right above VWAP, now trading at 321s. You've got Tesla coming down here, rejecting that 310 area. I'm going to go ahead and what's it going to do? What's it going to do? What's it going to do? If it goes ahead and breaks the previous close again, I would look to go short Tesla. But we'll see what it decides to do. Look at that
bounce on EVAX.
That's what I'm saying. The buyers keep stepping in, and you've got higher highs thus far. Let's go and look at the 5-minute here. You've got higher highs. Let's see if it goes ahead and breaks it and moves towards the 330s and then some. But I'm short Tesla here. Just one contract. Not really. I'm anticipating a break of VWAP here, so it's not the best decision on my end.
APPH make big move here through 205 all the way up to 224. Nice little move here on APPH.
My fill. Sorry, real quick. My fill on Tesla, it's the 308.33 puts expiring this week. I got filled at 370s.
I was seeing, Jonathan, you were talking earlier about your short with Affirmed. Good man. That obviously sank here out of the open, bouncing back to balance here on Affirmed. But nice that you collected that. I still like Affirmed for lower here eventually, especially as the consumer tightens up over these next several months.
All right, those Tesla contracts are in our favor. We're up a solid 4%, which is about $20 per contract. Moving to the downside again, we want this previous close. So it's interesting. You've got the previous close, VWAP, and the EMAs on the 5-minute all right here. So I'm hoping that it breaks the 308.40s, and then we can continue towards the lows, which is approximately 307.50s, as EVAX is moving to the upside again. 323s, 324s on that one, breaking higher than the previous 5-minute candle. Look for the break of 330s on that one.
TEL having a pretty good day too. TEL, I would say that the next spot here is going to be 334 if it can keep getting a push. We really need that volume to stick around and not dry up, but I suspect that might happen ahead of FOMC here. So TELL, we've traded this one a couple of times on this show.
Apple went ahead and wicked to the low of day. It's coming right back up. We'll see how Tesla wants to move. Tesla has not broken the 308.50s on this 10-minute candle. That's the move we're waiting for. Hoping Apple can go ahead and take the market down and Tesla can say, you know what, we'll nosedive as well. But hopium is not the best way to trade, but that's what we've got at the moment. Very, very small size on the Tesla puts, though. All right, there's Apple low of day again. Wix comes right back up, flirting with that previous close. We've talked about how often the previous close can be a support or resistant area. At the moment, it's acting as support, and that is a 156.90 on Apple, which is a previous close. And you've got 308.73s on Tesla, and there is a pop once again for EVAX, but can't get over that 330 just yet.
You know, the longer this EVAX kind of compresses and stays in this area, the more ferocious I think the pop in either direction is going to be.
Yeah, well, there's a drop now on Apple to the downside, breaking below the previous close by about 30 cents. Tesla now, those contracts are up only 6%. I'm hoping for a bit more of a push. There we go. Come on down. I'm going to have an order out here to go ahead and sell my Tesla contracts at 625. That's what I've got it. Let's see if I get it. Hopefully I'm not being too greedy.
AGRI looks like through 190 here on AGRI. We might have a trade there. Going to watch this one.
Let's see if there's any other movement. I'm just checking things out here for us and for my man Neil.
Watch an AGRI here through 189. That is the high print that I have, 189, not 190. We shall see. Not in it yet.
Go ahead and check out a couple of other things here. Yeah, look at that. Man, I knew I should have taken those profits on that, but let's see how the SPY reacts. Let's see. Let's put up the SPY here.
Right. Took some aggregate here. We'll see if we get some push. Stop about 184.
What is that, AGRI?
AGRI.
You know you're a nerd when you can just know a random tickers. And
I had that the other day, actually. Someone that lived around me was talking to me about uranium and said that they bought Denison. I was like, oh, DNN. And the fact that I knew it was that made his day.
It's like we sound like snobs, but, you know, speaking of knowing what the heck we're doing,
we're just dorks, that's all.
I've got an out here at 625 as Tesla tests the low of day. No idea if it's going to bounce around 307.50 or not, but I'm going to go ahead and take my gains. We got in at 570. We got out at 625. That's a solid $45 per contract there. Now, Tesla low of day. Those contracts are going for 650 on the ask as we get more downside movement on this one. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Stop out of that one. Let's go ahead and see what ET is doing here. A little bit of consolidation on ET. And Tesla, new lows.
See, easy, Mike. You get it. You get it. A bunch of us are stock nerds here. It's just what we like doing.
Dude, so the other day I was, you know, I bought a new iPhone because I cracked my other one.
Right.
I couldn't spell Apple for the love of my life. I just couldn't. I tried to type in apple.com and I just kept on doing aapl.com. And It was kind of embarrassing. Thankfully, I live alone and like no one was around me to see the
I was
embarrassing moment.
embarrassing. Who saw it?
Oh man, can you imagine just like being out in public and someone's like, "Hey, can you go to the Apple website?" and you're having trouble spelling Apple?
Yeah,
Tough life we live, man. Tough life we live.
I can imagine. What's worse is when people ask for the Apple ticker and you tell them it's APPL.
Oh no, that's just bad. Then I'm judging you. You know. Then I'm judging you. Yeah, we speak in tickers, man. But here we go.
I was hoping we were going to move through this level a little bit quicker, but not materializing, at least not yet. Easy, Mike. We speak in tickers. Yes, sir. Love that.
You've got the market around here. I'm going to go ahead and put up a SPY. You've got the market around VWAP, and that's kind of where I wanted to go long, especially in case Tesla double bottoms here. But so far, we talked about how it could be Chop City. I mean, just look at this range that you've had for the first 27 minutes of the market, just right here between 386.91. So we'll just call that 387 and 385.50s. So you've got about a 2.5 point range so far in the markets. And there's a movement to the upside on AGRI, moving to the 191s now.
192 needs to come down now. Might be a slow grinder here, but so far it looks like we hooked one. Cody also approaching highs here. Just put in a new high close to that 843 here. Let me flip to my stream here real quick. So remember, we took a look at Cody while we're waiting for AGRI to play out. Like this daily formation, we're really kind of pushing up to that level. Not in Cody right now, but interested in this, especially if we break that and kind of back test and hold. We shall see. Currently waiting right now on AGRI. This is right off the relative volume scanner here in Benzinga Pro. That also caught APPH, by the way, but was a little late to that one. Here we go on AGRI. Here we go. Let's get one more pop here. We can close this one out. Would love to see it move above 194. 215, your after hours high from yesterday. At this point, not going to let the trade go red on me.
Yeah, definitely grab those gains while you can.
Would love to see 94 come down here. Right back to 193. Definitely refresh seller on this name here, but he's been getting bought. Some pretty big volume sticks so far this morning.
Let's see. What was it? Oh, it's above pre-market. No, so pre-market highs is right at $2. So expect $2 to be resistance for sure, which is about 10 to 11 cents away as the SPY is bouncing from VWAP here.
Let me put your charts back up, my friend.
Yep, where we go. Again, I kind of wanted to go long SPY off of VWAP, but I'm nice and green on the day, so I don't want to risk anything. I might actually just limit the next size that I take here, as you've got AGRI now at the 190s as well. MSFT, I know had a strong move above 245. Now that one's at VWAP as well. And now you've got the 30-minute set. You've got a 30-minute breakout level set on the SPY, which is around 386.33s, 386.91s. And if you like Microsoft, playing it around VWAP is not a bad risk-reward idea there.
You were mentioning SLNG earlier, right? Here we go.
Sure
Agri back at 194, 195.
Woo, baby. Look
Take
at these three halts. Up, up, up. Now at 1034, looks like that one's going to halt there. Yep, halted to the upside once again for the third time. Now, Mitch likes to say
the third halt. After
the third halt, it should move to the downside. So I was going to say in memory of Mitch, the dude's not like he's still, you know.
Simmer down there, Zunaid. Mitch will be back. Mitch will be back.
In us thinking of Mitch.
All right. Out Agri right there. AGRI. So nice little scalp there. 189, 190. That little supply area got taken out. Nice little move up here. I'll take that. Move on to the next one here. I'll be honest, this SLNG looks like the huge move here of the day, but I just like using it. I don't want to be trapped in halts.
Yeah. No, not even a little bit. I kind of want to go short. What's the borrow rate?
This seems like a good catalyst here,
I'm
though.
not going to do it.
Stabilis Solutions shares are trading higher if the company announced it received authorization from the U.S. Department of Energy to export domestically produced liquefied natural gas to all free trade and non-free trade countries. So this seems like big news given what's going on here. But man, yeah, I don't.
Does it mean that it should have 100% market cap, double? You know?
Yeah. I don't. That's a good point, Zunaid. Good point.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that.
So no idea what the float is.
I'll ask about this though. We got a couple of really sharp guys that follow the energy market in the happy hour today. I'll ask about this. I'll see if I can bring you back some information here tomorrow.
Today's Wednesday, right? Yeah, today's Wednesday. Yep. So we'll be here tomorrow. You can update us if they have any insight on that one. And that's every day at 4. Is that right?
That's every day at 4. Every day at 4. Only for pro members though. So again, you should really check out pro. I mean, check out the town hall today. You might even be able to get a deal on pro. But remember, we also have a free 2-week trial, which will give you access to that. So, Zunaid, I'm going to borrow one from you. If you're not doing that, what are you doing with your life?
What are you doing? What are you doing?
And all these plays,
don't forget.
All these plays, by the way, that I'm talking to you about, these are all generated from the tools within Benzinga Pro. So.
And don't forget, you do get that 2-week free trial, no credit card needed. So even if you end up in jail, you won't get charged. I'm telling you, that needs to be a commercial.
I love that that's what you bring up. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, Murray, we need to figure this commercial out, my man. I'm patiently waiting to have an opportunity to short SPY if it goes ahead and breaks the 386 and closes the 10-minute candle below it. Part of me wanted to go long. I was too chicken to do so. I also wanted to go short AGRI at 199s because of that $2 rejection that it had at pre-market, sustaining itself here in the normal hours as well. But looks like there's a bar rate of 50% or some nonsense. I am not going to take part in that. So for right now, let me see. I don't have any position at all because we got out of our Tesla short, made about $40 per contract on that one. So now we're just kind of hanging out, sitting tight, waiting for this SLNG to see if it moves to the downside or not. Sorry to hear that, Sabrina. Hopefully everything works out.
Zunaid, give me one moment. I'm going to run to the washroom. I will not leave you hanging. I'll be right back.
That's quite all right. I'll just bring AT in, and then he can trade with me. And we'll just invest in random tickers. There's a SPY that you can see the long wick on the buy side. But we've got about 5:30 left to go on that 10-minute candle. And we're still waiting on SLNG to go ahead and open up. And let's see if it let's see if it comes back to the downside or not. Mitch likes to say that after the third halt, chances are more than 50-50. I don't know exactly what percentage he uses. That we'll see a down halt or movement to the downside. AGRI still above VWAP. Again, if I could short it around 199 without paying anything, I would. Mainly because you could see in pre-market that $2 held as resistance. And I would assume that that would also be the case in the normal hours here. HD made that pop above when those options came in, and then it came right back down. I appreciate that music, AT.
All right. Sorry about that.
No worries, buddy.
So we're still halted here on SLNG, huh?
Yep, we're still waiting on that. Yep. Still waiting on SPY to stop barcoding. You do have a little bit of action coming in on AGRI. It goes back and forth, though. It hasn't really made a move. But AT, you playing Bollywood music? What is that? What's happening there? Sounds like something I could play at my wedding.
No Adele, huh?
You know it. Oh, this is This is free copyright music. Okay. I thought I'd give you a nice little beat.
I like it. Mitch likes to play.
The group here. I love
Mitch plays like jazz music, and I'm like, bro, the market's already chopped up. You want me to fall asleep here? You know.
I'll be real. Mitch likes to play music that gets the video demonetized.
Cool.
So, see, that's a Mitch problem. That's a Mitch problem.
I'm doing it by the book. I'm trying to do this right.
We have our first 8 ball.
What's up, buddy? What are we asking?
Can you make me full screen? 8 ball here.
Oh, he just took you out.
He removes me. I asked him to make me full screen. He removes me. So when Mitch returns, will Mitch and AT have a cage match to determine who is the actual winner? Let's see what the 8-Ball thinks about that.
What are we saying there? What are we saying there? Oh, man.
Come on, focus. 8-Ball, what are you doing? Yes.
I see a yes, though. Yeah.
That's a yes, folks.
I see
All
the
right.
yes.
Get your tickets for the AT Mitch cage match.
I'm in.
I
am in for that one. By the way, you've got Facebook that is weak, and it is making new lows continuously here below VWAP, just writing down. You want to go ahead and see a trend on that one. Boop, just straight to the downside. And of course, SPY waiting for that 10-minute candle to close, see which direction we get. SLNG has not made a move anywhere just yet. By the way, we do appreciate all 400 of you hanging out with us for live trading. AB will join us here in 20 minutes or so. What's up?
AGRI holding up here at this 190 plus level. So wouldn't be surprised. I know we just traded this. I was out at 195. Looks like the high print was at 197. So maybe we actually take that level out and go a little bit higher here on AGRI. We'll see. Not this trade. I mean, the first trade is over, but this is not out of play just yet. Could produce another one here.
Let's see. I'm trying to see if there are any other positions that we can contemplate in life about. Let's see. Apple, Tesla. Tesla, nice little move to the downside. Made new lows. Those puts are going for 680s. What's up?
Let me ask you, when it comes to the FOMC decision today, what instruments are you going to trade after we get the text for it? Are you going to trade SPY? Are you going to trade TQQQ, SQQQ? Are you going to trade some of the ETF? What are you looking at in terms of your vehicle? Are you just going to trade stocks like Apple and Tesla or AMD?
I'm pretty much just going to try to play SPY.
Okay.
I'm trying to be a master of SPY. That way I can go ahead and move into SPX. That way I can save some money on taxes. And for those of you that don't know, when you trade SPX, you do get taxed differently, more favorably than when you trade SPY. So that's what I'm trying to get into doing.
Cool.
So yeah, that's the way my life will go after that. And again, I do need to text my man and be like, yo, can we not do anything today at the gym so I can watch the action unfold? But there's a SPY now moving to the upside. Let's see if it wants to break that 387. I'm going to try to be cute here because, why not? SPY, I'm going to take a expiration today. SPY, we're going to take a put. Just going to grab one just for fun here, just to see if my theory works out. 386 puts expiring today. Got them filled at 301. Stop loss is going to be above 387. What I'm hoping for here is for there to be more of a chop city to where the SPY now wants to come back and test the VWAP once again, just kind of chopping it up a little bit more. I am not expecting a breakout above 387. If I'm wrong, I will go ahead and get out of my singular contract, but we'll see how that goes. And now you've got SLNG still halted to the downside. Still halted to the upside at 1034, and Tesla's below VWAP. So if you like Tesla short, you can try to short it against the VWAP and against the 308.73 as SPY. I need you to come on down to test VWAP, baby. And look at that. Look at that. The contracts are worth 2%, better than any other bank that'll ever get you any other interest rate. Can you explain that tax comment a little bit? Why is it taxed differently? I'll be honest. I do not know. I have no idea why it's taxed differently. I think it has something to do with index and not index or something like that. But hey, let's get back to this one. And so it's interesting, Ryan. We went ahead and popped up on the fourth movement.
And look at the
then it came down to the $10. So 1008 is where we're hanging out right now. Looks like that could be a downside halt. Let's go ahead and pull up the SPY here as well.
If it holds here, it will halt. Halted. So you got the third halt popped to the upside, but it was an immediate yank into the downside halt. What do you think's happening next?
I have no idea, but we can ask the 8-Ball if you'd like. But SPX trading is taxed at 60% long-term gains and 40% short-term gains. And I believe that's because SPX is taken a look at as a security type of an option, where SPY is looked at as an ETF. But again, No idea why it's done differently, but that is the case. Of course, I'm not a CPA certified accountant, so please make sure you talk to your own grandma or whoever else does your taxes.
Your grandma does your taxes?
No,
Oh,
I'm not a fan of my grandma, but no, we can have a Dr. Phil session though. But let's go ahead and check out what the puts are doing. The puts are still hanging out around 2% of a gain, not much there. Hoping for it to come back and test the 386 level if it comes down to that. Oh, we got a little magic 8-ball little emote there. I like that. All right. Yep. I like it. Let's see what the Tesla's coming to the downside.
SPX really kind of holding in that range. Did not break out. Just kind of holding in there. And I expect that to be the case up until the meeting here today.
Exactly. So, people say I got chopped up. Well, I'm looking to use the chop in my advantage as Apple could not get above VWAP and now trading below previous close. Made a move to the downside, red to green, flirting with it now. 156.90 is your previous close. 156.91 is your spot price at the moment. Apple coming a little bit down. Was expecting more of a gain here on those SPY contracts. I would have grabbed more if I knew it wouldn't move this much. But
look at the breakout in General Mills, ticker GIS. Look at the daily chart on that. Pull up a daily on that. Do your TA magic wizardry on GIS.
GIX. All right.
Breakout.
Wow. Yeah. Let's see how long of a. Let's see. Yeah, I like it. Now the
sky.
I was gonna say
breakout right there.
Yep. It's like, where do you kind of stop out, or where do you kind of have your targets? I mean, it's moving to the high. I have no idea. I'm not the best at playing blue skies. I know some folks like to use Fibonacci's. I'm not going to pretend like I'm the best at it, but maybe that's a question that some of our other traders coming on later today on this Benzinga Bootcamp can go ahead and answer for us. But let's get back to the 3 box here. Put SLNG in the middle. SPY still has not broken out. Tesla now still below VWAP, as is Apple. We'll see where SLNG comes out. If I had to guess, I'm going to guess that we will see a bounce from around $8 on SLNG. But we'll see. We'll see how things play out there.
I mean, $8 still 2 points away from where this downside halt is. That would still be kind of a brutal open there.
Yeah.
EVAX sub 3 now. EVAX look like this might be ready to roll over. Well, what we want to do on EVAX here is you want to wait for this to actually find footing and set up. Be honest though, this has been a pretty wild trade here today. Probably just be careful with this one. Let's put it that way. Just be careful.
Come on, SPY. Come on to the downside. SPY did. So look, here's the thing. My theory was correct. SPY did go ahead and come back and test VWAP. Unfortunately, the contracts did not move the way I thought they would. I thought I would have gotten at least a 10 to 15% gain. I was wrong on that. So I didn't want to take like an $8 gain because I only got one contract just for fun to test my theory. My theory was right, but I didn't care for a Big Mac with tax. So I'm holding on. And let's see if I lose money on this trade. 387 of a break is where I'm going to go ahead and accept defeat and get out. And you do have Match.com coming in. You've got the $55 calls coming in on the ask, expiring 30th of September, approximately $50,000 worth or so. And now you've got KITT moving as well.
Real quick, just addressing some of the things here in chat. Duke the Fool saying, heard Triple D say people are staying home and eating cereal when times are hard. I guess that's the thesis you have behind General Mills. The consumer tightening up, definitely real. We're seeing that, and I would expect that to continue. That also kind of leads into Costco, right? Costco, definitely one of the more premium stores in terms of its product, but still able to get the normal groceries or the normal products that you would cheaper on a per unit basis. So I'm not surprised to see that either. Don't we have Costco earnings coming up? Let me check on that because I could have sworn, yes, they're tomorrow. They're tomorrow after the market close. So this is keep that in mind. This is a trade up. All right, Zunaid, SLNG open here. It looks like we're currently in low 9s. I don't know where that opening print was, though.
Right around VWAP, around 962 area, if
yep.
you will. And now moving its way to the upside here. If you're looking to go short, you kind of have an idea about.
Going to halt here at 1073 if this holds.
Really?
Yep.
On a 73-cent move? I guess that's like, 9% or whatever, but
supposed to be 10%, but I think it's going off that 960 number.
960 number. Damn.
Halted on SLNG. So this meeting the definition of a halt fest. If you're in it, make sure you get some type of gains. This is too wild for me, though.
All right, you've got Google now coming back to the downside. Don't forget, Google had some support at 101, so we're still about 82 cents away from that. SPY coming back down. Did not break out just like we expected it not to. Unfortunately, the puts are only up 5%, so now we're up about 15 bucks on our contract. But we are not selling. We're waiting to see if we get a break.
Sarav asking, do you guys not like Meta? Well, I'm not going to speak for Zunaid, but I can tell you for certain, no, I don't like Meta. I don't like Facebook. I've never really liked it. I don't necessarily, I don't really think they have much of a business with the ad-based model and all that stuff changing. So this chart looks awful. In fact, here, let me go to mine here real quick. You guys know you got an intraday chart up there, Zunaid. This chart on Meta here, this just really looks bad. There might be a trade in here to the long side. Something may change. There might be something about the metaverse or whatever that I'm not able to comprehend at this time. But no, me personally, I don't like this. I don't like the company. I don't particularly care for Zuck. I don't use Facebook. I'll never use Facebook again. So no, sorry, I don't like that. Unsure. What are your thoughts on Meta, Zunaid?
So Facebook was one of the first stocks that I purchased as a college student. I think it was one of the first 3 to 4 stocks that I purchased out of college as a college student. And I got into options, and I don't know why E-Trade allowed me to trade options. I guess I lied on the application, allegedly. But I bought leaks on Facebook, and I was like, oh, do I think the stock will be higher than $8 from now? Of course I do. So I put like $3,000 into it or whatever. And it paid very well. I ended up buying Facebook around, and I also had equity. I bought Facebook around like $22 or so, sold it around 34. I remember watching after hours it move after earnings. I thought I was the hottest stuff in town. And then it went all the way obviously up to 250s. What do I think about Facebook now though? I'm not on the platform. I don't really know. I think they could have done a lot better monetization with the WhatsApp situation. Instagram, obviously, I feel like is always copycat and not an innovator, but they're always reactive and not proactive. But the whole metaverse thing, I think it reminds me of a play on companies had on 3D printing, where it looked promising, just didn't go anywhere. And if you know anything about 3D printing, this is another stock that I invested in back in the day. This is 3D Systems Corporation. Look at it. It went all the way from the teens to the hundreds. Now it's back to $8, so just not sure about the metaverse. And HKD looks to be halted to the upside. Let me go ahead and bring up the we'll get the $3 here. There's the SPY. What's the SPY doing? Coming back down. Thank you. SLNG still halted, and you've got HKD. Let's go ahead and get HKD on a 10-minute here. HKD is below 100. Oh wow. HKD moving to the upside. Now that $100, if I had courage and if I don't have to pay for shorts, I would try to go short HKD off of the $100, but I'm not going to do that. You've got the SPY coming back down near VWAP. Contracts are still just ridiculously up 2-3%. Nothing. At this point, I'm just getting annoyed looking at it, so I might just take my $10 and run home.
Well, aloha, Hawaii Rai. It has been a while. Hope you all are doing well. I sure am. Hope you are doing well, man. Hope everything is going well out in Hawaii, although I'm not really sure how it couldn't be great out there. Congratulations, Aaron, being headhunted for an important position. Let's go.
That's awesome, dude. Congratulations on that.
Great stuff. Ron shouting out Tel here. We talked about Tel earlier. This looks like this kept moving. Next spot here, we talked about 334 is your next level. Looks like it's moving towards there. No position here in Tel. EVAX still below 3. Trying to curl, but still below 3. Mara and Riot and Hut and Coin all trying to go back towards highs after the pause and pullback here. Coin new highs intraday here.
HKD went ahead and popped up above 100. We'll see how that price action plays out. Again, the only ticker that I'm involved with at the moment is a SPY short, hoping for a no crack above 387s and hoping for a crack below the VWAP, which is currently trading around the 386.16 area. Oh man, chop, chop, chop. But at least we got some plays. We played Tesla a little bit. Here's Tesla now coming up against VWAP.
SLNG
So
open, new highs, 12s. Holy smokes. And right back to the 11th.
Right back down, yeah. All right, call me crazy. God damn it, I'm going to do it, aren't I?
You're going to try this for real?
Well, only against the $10, but it's fair of a halt here. All right,
Okay.
I won't do it, but... And of course... Oh, my... All right, bro. All right, bro. Really? Look at... And the reason I wanted to play it was because the VWAP was near 10, and I had a nice little entry there. Could have had... It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Maybe my execution would have been as great, but...
VWAP I have is 1016 here.
Yep. Anyway. Look at that. SPY went ahead and touched. So our theory was right, chat. Our theory was right that SPY would not break the 387s and they would come back and test VWAP. It's done that so many times.
What's up, boys?
Greedy. We're just being...
AB.
What is up, AB?
How we doing?
We're good. What, you got a gloomy day in Detroit behind you?
A what?
A gloomy day behind you in Detroit? Looks a little
it's been rainy. It's been stormy. Last night we had a thunderstorm in my area. I was
Were you scared?
I wasn't scared. So here's what happened. So actually I played basketball after work in here in the gym for the first time in like a long... Whoa, where'd Ryan just go? He didn't like my story. Anyway, in a long time, because it's been like... I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. Take it. Go run in the bathroom, whatever you need to do. But we were playing basketball for the first time because it's been summer, so we've been like doing stuff outside, less in the gym. But was really sore when I got home because we played for like an hour and a half. Was gonna get in my building's hot tub, but there was lightning in the area, but it wasn't like... It was kind of that heat lightning situation where you could see the lightning, but you couldn't really hear it. And I always do the thing where you count how long the thunder is from the lightning to see how far away it is.
Yeah.
If anyone doesn't know that trick and wants to learn, I can teach you. But I sat outside.
Where you learn that from? That's what I want to know.
Well, so a couple different things. So I know it's in a Berenstain Bears book or show or some point, but I also think I had a teacher at some point that taught us. But it's essentially... I want to say every five.
Poltergeist, the movie. So
from what?
Poltergeist. I'm dating myself by throwing that.
Yeah,
movie out
I
there,
have no clue what that means.
I have no idea what that is.
Wow. Can I get a 1 in the chat if you know what Poltergeist is, the movie?
Or Berenstain Bears.
Yeah, I thought you always kind of between lightning and thunder, but
yeah, but some people like think it's like a second per mile. I was always taught every 5 seconds you count is a mile. So if you count 10 seconds, or maybe it's 3 seconds. I don't know. What were you taught, Ryan?
Okay. I just got to say, I'm glad that I'm not the outlier this
yeah,
time,
you clearly have a lot of support here.
The entire chat knows about Poltergeist, with the exception of Shannon. Everyone else knows about Poltergeist. It's a wild movie. You should watch that one if you like horror movies. October's coming up. We got Halloween coming up. Put Poltergeist on your list.
Bro, I sleep with a nightlight. I'm not watching a horror movie.
Fair enough. Oh,
I'm not doing that.
Anyway, basically I just sat outside for like 10 minutes having this like debate in my head if it was safe for me to get in this hot tub, and I really wanted to, but I ended up saying, you know what, better safe than sorry. I'll just go take like a hot shower instead. And I think that's a sign of me maturing, maybe. I don't know.
Wow.
AD maturing? Impossible.
I think I would have been fine though. Like the odds were probably in my favor that I would have been fine. It just I would be a shitty way to die. Just be found like floating in a hot tub, you know?
Yeah, I mean, especially if you like, well, you just worked out, so you probably got a little muscle built in. But otherwise,
yeah, I probably would have. I would have looked good.
Yeah, there you go. That's the one thing I always worry about. It's like I don't want to split. Like, I mean, look, that's gonna happen one way or another. But what I don't want to happen is for me to die in the hot tub where it's like, bro, like, come on,
Yeah.
That's why I work out. It's not for health reasons or anything like that. But yeah. Anyway.
All right. Well, that was just my aside. Let's get back to the trading. I heard you guys talking about Tesla, SPY. I'm looking at Qs. I don't know. I mean, I think it should go without saying. It feels like people are going to be kind of hands off until the announcement this afternoon. However, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this. My thing is like, we know they're either going to go 75 or 100, but it's going to be more about what Powell says and how he sounds. And it's like, I feel like we know he's going to come out and sound really tough and say, yeah, whatever we need to do, we're going to bring inflation down, kind of like how he talked at Jackson Hole. So I just like don't like, is there going to be that big of a negative reaction to that when that's the expectation right now?
I'm sorry, by the horn said AB soup. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, that's what I would have been.
Bro, I have no idea what the Fed's gonna do. That is not my strong suit. I just play the charts. I have no idea.
I see. That's the thing is, I'm not really talking about what the Fed's gonna do. I'm just talking about how the market's gonna react to this at 2 p.m. Right? And like, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I don't know what the Fed's gonna do. How do you want me to predict what the market's gonna do?
This is how you give a situation for both, Zunaid. I'll take it.
Oh, there you go. Please.
Is the what we have. Well, I also, AB, I'm in agreement with you. The probabilities say that we're probably going to get a 75 bips raise today. I think that if we do get that, we end up trading up, right? We have that uncertainty removed from the market. So my call is if we get 75, we end up closing green. If we get 100, which I don't think is going to happen, I think that would shock quite a bit of people. And well, I'm actually pulling for that. I'd rather have them do this faster. I know with Powell trying to, do a soft landing here, he's trying to thread a needle that's very, very difficult. And I would see the market reacting negatively to that. I definitely think we close red if they end up going 100. So 75, I think we close green. 100, I think we close red. Let's see if I'm right tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, we'll know this afternoon. I think it's this afternoon.
Well,
right?
we won't be on live trading this afternoon. You might be here after the town hall, but the live trading show will be over.
I hear you. Yeah, and I think right now the CME Group is giving about an 18% chance, so almost a 1 in 5 chance that it is 100. I know there are other people out there, Ryan, that are calling for that, saying, okay, let's just rip this Band-Aid off. Actually make a meaningful dent in inflation. 1 in 5 isn't nothing, right? That's not saying, okay, that's like the biggest long shot in the world, right? Let's put it this way. If you would have told me last night I could have gotten the hot tub, but I had a 1 in 5 chance of getting struck by lightning, I wouldn't have done it. So certainly in the cards, it's a possibility, but not likely. Again, and then I really think it'll be more important what Powell...
Out of my Tesla calls, I'm out. I mean, Tesla puts, I'm out. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it'll be more important. Yeah, 50's out of the picture.
I mean, the thing here is that it takes a while for this to kind of go through the system, right? So if you watched Rick Santelli this morning on CNBC, they were talking about this with some of the other economics guys, and Rick really said what the way that I feel. You have to kind of wait until to see what's happening from all these. Now, I think they need to go further anyway. So I'm, like you were just saying, I'm in the camp of ripping the Band-Aid right off. But Rick made a really good point that it takes a while for this to all go through the system, and they should probably pause here and then be data dependent, like they say all the time, and see how these rate rises are actually performing. Now, yeah. we'll see.
Who did you say said that, Brian?
That was Rick Santelli this morning on CNBC.
Okay, and I agree with that, which I don't know if I typically agree with Rick Santelli a lot, if that's who I'm thinking of. Yeah, but
the loud, funny guy.
Yeah. So I mean, if they ever, I don't think they're gonna say that though. I agree with that. I agree they should be data dependent, but I think Jerome Powell knows kind of the Fed's being viewed in this light, that they're, being in effect. He's going to come out and talk tough and be like, hey, whatever we need to do to bring inflation down, we're going to keep raising rates. What he means by that is, hey, we're willing to see unemployment tick up. We're willing to see, essentially a recession to see inflation come down at this point. I think to Rick Santelli's point and a lot of other people's points, there's a lot of people questioning if rise or jacking up interest rates is really helping the areas that we're seeing inflation in right now. So, I don't know. The Fed's in between a rock and a hard place. We'll see what Powell says today. My prediction, officially, I'll put it on the record, 75.
Yep.
And then, so to your point, Ryan, the market might react positively to that at 2 p.m. when we get that release. But then my prediction is at 2:30 when Powell comes out, he's going to try to sound real tough and
down, jawbone the market down. That makes a lot of sense too. I wouldn't be surprised. So your call is for 75 and perhaps a red close. I'm calling for 75 and a green close.
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll go off that. We'll see.
All right,
I love it.
AB, appreciate you coming in. I'm gonna hop off and get ready for my meeting.
Yeah,
and I
man.
will catch you guys tomorrow. It was fun trading with you. Let's see what SLNG does. Let's see what Tesla does. And of course, you got the SPY coming right back down as well. But appreciate you guys. Hopefully, you were able to make money with us. I know AGRI was a nice trade for Ryan. Tesla's short was a good one for us. And look at that. The SPY just wanted to shake me out and said, oh, Zunaid's out? Sure, now I'll move to the downside. Anyway, I'll go be angry somewhere else. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow, Zunaid. Coolio. All right. Shout out Zunaid. Smash the like for Zunaid. Ryan, we've got the Benzinga.
That fade was so like sharp and on point. I wonder if you got a haircut yesterday.
Probably. We've got your Benzinga Pro pulled up. Any big headlines you've seen this morning? Of course, we had the Putin speech. What were those?
I was going to ask you about that. You know what, AB? I'm glad that you brought that up. I was sleeping when this happened, and and when I got up and started to prepare today, I actually didn't go through this. I did see some of the headlines here again in Benzinga Pro. I set up a couple of news feeds to deliver some of the really high impact headlines here today, and I went through them. But I'm seeing the thing that really stood out to me was this. The Russian Defense Ministry said a large caliber shell has damaged a technical water pipe at the nuclear power plant in Ukraine. So that is probably the headline there that concerns me the most. I mean, I don't want any trouble anywhere with any nuclear power plant. Talking about shells blowing up and damaging a water line there. So did you go through that at all? Do you have any context on what's going on, or what are your thoughts on what's actually going to happen here?
Yeah, so yesterday the news came out kind of midday that Putin was gearing up to deliver a speech. It would have been his first since February. The expectation was
right. It wasn't live.
Correct. Yeah. So it was actually this address was supposed to take place like yesterday afternoon around 2 p.m. Eastern during market hours. And you can see on the chart, we kind of took a dip around the same time that news came out. What happened was the speech kept getting delayed. And I think while it got delayed like 12 hours, they said, okay, instead of, playing this pre-recorded message to the Russian public, what would have been last night for them, they were like, we'll do it this morning. I think in that time when it got pushed back, people started speculating and started expecting the worst, right? For Putin to call for a full military mobilization. There were Google trends that showed in Russia spikes of people searching like how to get out of because I think regular citizens in Russia thought he was going to be declaring like full-blown mobilization, draft all these people. Okay. So people were like trying to flee, freaking out. Kind of more middle ground, muted, I think, than what some people expected. So he kind of announced a partial mobilization, a move that will see 300,000 Russian citizens in the military reserve. So it sounds like he basically said, hey, we're going to beef up our efforts a little bit, talked about that nuclear shelling, but didn't announce that full military mobilization, which I don't really understand because I feel like they've been in a full mobilization, it seems like, over the past 6 months. Either way, I don't know if there's any huge takeaways from it other than that Putin, coming out and just being like, hey, we're not done yet. We're going to ramp up some of our efforts. So
I think it would be a bad thing if the big headline from today was something from Putin's speech as opposed to something Fed related. To me, that would be just overall a negative if that was the big headline. It doesn't seem like that's the case so far.
Right. And again, the fear was Putin would be announcing a full mobilization. Instead, he announced kind of a partial one. So I guess you could construe that as, okay, it wasn't as bad as we expected, but obviously still not great news. A lot of European leaders have come out and said, okay, these threats need to be taken seriously. It seems like that decision's already been made, though, by European leaders, NATO officials, whatever, that, hey, what goes on in Russia and Ukraine is between them. It doesn't seem like Putin announcing a new mobilization is going to change that. But what do I know? I'm not a geopolitical expert. I'm just trying to figure out how this is going to impact the markets. Yeah, full would equal a draft. That was the fear, and I saw, like I said, posts yesterday talking about how there were upticks in people searching for like how to get out of the country and stuff. So, again, that was the fear. It didn't end up happening.
And real quick, just to kind of go back to Sling, I know we've been watching SLNG here. Zunaid left us with a parting gift there saying we'll watch this. it made another run here to try and move back through 11, and in the next 1 minute candle it was yanked about 70 cents. So definitely volatile here. We'll see if this can get going here. I would be skeptical of this. I would be skeptical of this. To right now, looks like we're trying to do a pullback towards the VWAP here at 1040. Wouldn't be surprised if we crack that.
Yep. Okie dokie. What about, have you been following this Open Door saga the past couple of weeks?
I haven't. Bring me up to speed on it.
Well, I mean, the stock's just been absolutely terrible.
Really, really.
There's been like drama on Twitter with it though. There's some
drama on Twitter. Are you sure?
I'm telling you, man. There's I forget who it is. There's some like bigger.
There's drama on Twitter.
Right. There's some like bigger investor guy who I guess has been bullish investing in it, and he's got a lot of followers, like 200,000. I don't know. I'll find the thread, but Jack Rains, who I've had on Benzinga Live before, posted a thread about how this guy, investor in it, was tweeting about how, just because Zillow has problems doesn't mean that Open Door has problems, like all this stuff. And someone overlaid the charts, and they were like, yeah, they're basically been the same company, or had the same returns over the past year.
Same trading action.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, we have a real estate agent that is a regular on our happy hour show, and she's been voicing concern about housing sales for months now. So these are actually not targets of me, but no, I was not aware of the saga as you.
Yeah. So basically, how it came down was, like, I don't know if you remember, but Zillow about a year ago or maybe a little less, like, shut down its iBuying. It was like, all right, this isn't profitable for us, how we're buying homes at these prices. For whatever reason, it wasn't a good business model. And Open Door was doing a very similar thing. And basically,
this iBuyer things, I think, where they were buying houses back. Yeah.
Correct. The iBuyer. I don't really know exactly what that means, but yeah, that's what it was. And Open Door, I guess data came out, I think this was from Bloomberg earlier in the week, showed that Open Door was losing money on 42% of its like iBuying transactions. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't been in Zillow or Open Door. Zillow, I think if I had to pick one, seems like a company that will probably be around a while. Like I know people that like just browse Zillow for fun. Like they're not even buying homes.
I do that on a nightly basis. I look at houses out west.
So yeah, so that makes me think, like, hey, even if Zillow is not selling houses or buying houses right now, it's like a social media platform. Ryan's on there every night.
I mean, I'm not trying to start a party or anything, but yeah, no, I use Zillow just because it's easy, honestly.
How are I mean, well, I don't know enough about the real estate market, but I have seen
Plasma here saying, I always look at how he said real estate prices look ready to collapse. I agree. I don't know, collapse, that has a wide definition. I would say housing prices are definitely due to come in, especially over the next 6 months. I would agree with that. My scanner here is, I apologize for the dead air here, Aaron. But this, my scanner really dried up here.
You're completely fine.
This is kind of what I expected today leading into this announcement. I definitely thought we'd have more of these smaller cap plays, not having as many as we normally do. And it was much busier the first half hour, 45 minutes out of the open. Right now I'm seeing, this is drying up pretty considerably. So for me, this is probably at the point where I'm going to be risk off until they actually, release the information from that meeting. It's just, I don't want to get trapped in anything. I'm seeing a lot of head fakes. SPY, we talked earlier about SPY hanging out in this range. We're talking about trading it for potential breakouts. It's really not doing anything. I mean, it's looking like it's trying to try, but it's just coming right back in there. So to me, it seems like we're in a holding pattern here until this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, there hasn't been, there's no rush out there essentially right now for traders. People, know this announcement is coming in, let's see, about 3.5 hours. They're content. Big traders out there content, just hanging out, waiting until then. So yeah, I mean, it does not surprise me not to see any crazy moves. So we can take this time though over the next 10, 15 minutes till we're joined by our first guest on the boot camp, CME, to take any tickers from the chat. If anyone's looking at anything or seeing anything they want us to look at, we can pull up the chart here on Benzinga Pro. And the cool thing about Benzinga Pro is we can look at other stuff too while looking at the chart, see if there's any recent headlines, look at some fundamentals, etc. So
that's what I do on a regular basis. Relative volume scanner, unusual options scanner, halt, resume scanner, block trade scanner, and new 52-week highs and lows scanner. So I pack the info in here on this workspace here, and you can too, and it can be customizable.
Yeah, I think that's one of the cool things. Like my dashboard on Pro doesn't look like your dashboard, you know.
And little secret, I do a lot of support sessions with people that need help with Pro. Those are free, by the way, if you're a Pro subscriber. I rarely come across two individuals that have the same Pro. Everyone is customizing it for what they need. To me, that's one of the value adds. That's one of the things that separates it.
Yeah. And again, pro.benzinga.com, no credit card needed. You can try it out free 2-week trial. You have any questions? Ryan here is your guy. Matthew Stefan wants to look at Sava. I haven't looked at this one in a while. Cassava.
Yep.
We used to have a guy in the Pro Happy Hour who absolutely loved Sava, right?
Yeah, Sava has, I don't want to call it a cult stock because it's not quite like Tesla, but there are some strong opinions on both sides on Sava. I play the middle. I don't have any read on this. I think I did try to trade this a couple of times, but just for some short-term things. I don't really follow this on a day-to-day basis. We had a monster day yesterday. This actually was on the scanner for most of the day. We have multiple opportunities to trade this. Looks like we've given back some of those gains, but we're doing a pretty good job holding in here, and we're doing it on pretty decent volume. Let's see. SEC case closing recommendations made. No enforcement action will be recommended, so resources can be redirected to investigations that will be more productive. So it looks like some of the bear case here alleviated, and that's why you saw your pop yesterday and again today. What was the question? Sava, please. There's really no other context here. As far as looking at the daily chart, we traded back up into, this is definitely this acted as a support area. It's not necessarily a specific price, but more of a support area. This should be now acting as resistance. One of the things I'd really like to see is a clear of $43, maybe even $43. Move through that 40 handle on some volume. I think maybe 50 would be next. And then maybe we can start clearing out some of this supply here from what looks like the range here was what, 40 to 70. So that area here looks to be the next range that we're going to need to consolidate and clear out for a move higher.
Got it. Yeah, and I see people talking about the housing market in the chat. Again, I'm no expert in that area, so I don't know if I feel comfortable sharing thoughts there. But certainly with the mortgage rates rising, looking like demand is cooling off. But what I know, at the end of the day, there is still kind of a shortage of housing in the United States. So I think a lot of people are saying that in itself will help prevent a full-on collapse, saying, okay, there's still, not enough homes essentially for as many people that want to buy one. So we'll see. I have no clue.
Yeah, I think what you had here is you had just the home prices were inflated. And I think you might just see a paring back of that, right? Some of those home prices that were really inflated are just going to come in. I agree. I don't think a full-on collapse is coming. I don't think people really over-levered themselves like they had in the past. Like, for example, 2008 or thereabouts. So to me, right. Yeah, I'm not looking for a collapse, but I'm definitely looking for home prices to come in 20, 30% even.
Yeah. And again, you had, that makes sense because you had, people that I bought a house either right before COVID or right at the beginning of COVID who saw their home prices like double in 2 years. Like it made no sense, right?
Yeah, the ones that I worry about are the ones that saw that home price appreciation that you just talked about, and then took out lines of credit against that. Of course, now as that comes in, the overall value is going to drop and could be underwater on the loan. So that would be one of the only things I'd be worried about, but I don't see a full-on collapse.
We shall see. All right, let's see if we've got any other. See if we've got any other tickers in the chat. Daniel Huel is asking, why are cruise liners tanking today?
Don't know. Real quick, I'll check on the cruise lines here, but Wissing brought up SOBR. This was just an absolute crazy runner yesterday. This is some mandated device that is like a breathalyzer in your car. Down 32% here today. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if we were down more by the end of the day. Why are the cruise liners taking? Let me pull up CCL and see if we can figure that out. I generally don't trade these. I don't like these at all, so I don't really follow them. Don't see any news here. Yesterday we had a Truist Securities maintaining a sell but raising the price target. Don't really see anything here.
You know what I was looking at, which I don't really trade the cruise liners either, but I feel like they kind of trade together sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
Are the airlines.
Truist.
So I was looking.
Okay. Sorry.
I was looking at like the Jets ETF. I don't know, man. I think there are obviously some big problems in the, airline industry. I think a lot of these companies struggle to stay profitable. I think that's what, like on the onset of COVID, why so many essentially needed bailouts to even survive. But now we're at a point where Jets was trading at $31 before COVID. It's at $16.62 now. So if you're on, so this ETF basically just has a lot. The biggest symbols are, it's 10% American Airlines, 10% United, 10% Delta, 10% Southwest, some JetBlue, Alaska Air, basically all the airlines. I think a little bit of the manufacturers, Boeing and Airbus as well. But you get the point, right? It's basically just going to track the airline industry. My thesis on this, Ryan, is just that these airlines aren't going to go anywhere, right? The government's not going to let United, Southwest, right? So like long term, these things got to come back eventually, right?
I mean, I would think so. As far as your thesis goes, you're right. I don't think the airlines are going away, but there could be a lot of pain in between there. There could be restructuring. There could be a number of things that can happen. To me, the airline business, it's a tough business. Really, really slim margins, not great to trade. And as far as some of these stocks coming in, both the airline stocks and as well as the boats, I think that kind of lends itself to the consumer tightening, right? Perhaps after COVID, you had trips booked out in the future because you were tired of being locked at home, wanted to get out of your house, wanted to travel, had money to do so. But I think now that as the inflation really kind of takes its toll, I think people are tightening up. Less vacations on where you need to take an airplane, less vacations on an expensive cruise vacation. So to me, this makes sense. I don't even think we're at the end of it here. I would actually want to wait on these airlines.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think, like you said, the airlines themselves, the companies, really thin margins. I don't think historically, if you go back and look at American Airlines chart over the past 5 years, right? Even as the market's making new highs in before COVID, right? These stocks were like in downtrend, not really performing that well. I don't even know if these companies would be able to exist without like federal assistance from the government and subsidies and stuff. So I'm not saying I love these companies. I just like for a trade, I wouldn't be surprised. Eventually, we're going to see, the Jets ETF get a little bounce and maybe, we're still ways out from that. But on my radar.
Chart really looks tough. I pulled up a weekly chart because you were talking about it, but man, that looks tough, AB. Look at
right.
that.
And that's like a huge red flag to me. If I look back and see, okay, the market was making new all-time highs in February 2020, but that stock was in a downtrend. There's a reason for that. There's a reason like investors on Wall Street are saying, hey, we're selling this while, the S&P 500 is making new highs. But again, just on my radar, I don't think Jets, that ETF is going to go, straight from here to zero. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. And one of the other things that we covered here this morning before the market actually opened, we talked a little bit about Peloton, ticker Peloton. That's of course Peloton. The news that they expanded their relationship with United Healthcare. One of the things that I was saying is that this is just an expansion of an existing agreement. It's not anything new. So I'm not really sure how much juice or punch this particular headline is going to have. Sure enough, Peloton down about 1.5% here. Not a whole lot of movement from that PR here this morning. Peloton, I think there's some more serious things going on at the company behind the scenes. Cannabis holding in there. Canopy Growth holding in there just about flat, up 19 or up 1.5%. EVAX moving through 3. And we had a wick back up here towards 330. It'd be interesting to see if EVAX gets back on. I'll tell you right now, I'm definitely not going to trade this, even if it sets up. This one was a wild one. We've got other things on our plate, but interesting watching it here. Frey was really probably the best trader today. I should have traded this one. Frey, real strong here. And obviously this push right up to 1450, they pulled it back into the high 13s, consolidated, and then broke it on volume. This is the volume expansion trade that we look for every day. A little disappointed, I'm sorry to the viewers out here that I ended up missing this today. But this is the trade right here, right? This is it. You set a high, you come back in, you clear out that supply, and then we have a volume expansion here that takes the price right through that high and to new highs. And looks like we got all the way up almost to 1540 here. 1540 here from a 1450 break. Yeah. Now we're getting a pullback here on Frey. So
let's see. All right, chat. We've got about 5 minutes left before we are joined by our good friends over at CME. Again, so any stocks, anything you want us to take a look at now, speak now or forever hold your peace. Chris Woods wants to look at Beyond Meat. I haven't looked at this one. I'm going to guess before you. Oh, man, I was going to try to guess where the stock was at before you pulled it up.
Now
I see it. All good. I just
this sounds like a story that you would have been all over. Did you hear the story of the COO biting someone's nose from Beyond Meat?
Yes, I did.
That's wild. Right, that seems like an AB story. I feel like you could make a short around that. Something there's jokes to be made there.
Yeah, you know what, we should. Look, you eat too much fake meat, you start craving the real thing. You see a nose and it resembles fleshy meat, and you go for it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's bearish or bullish. That's got to be bearish. This stuff.
I was going to say that sounds bearish to me, man. That's where I come from. That sounds like that's bearish for sure.
That their product is so bad that you gotta resort to cannibalism. No, I don't even. It was like a fight after a football game or something. Yeah,
it was an argument, I guess, after a Razorback football game. Razorback football games are exciting, but I don't think that this is not the way. Let's put it that way. The guy used to work for Tyson. That's Tyson Foods, not Mike Tyson. Which is
what? That's a nice little. That's a nice little tidbit.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I Ryan, I hope we never, have to resort to a physical altercation. But I promise, if we do, I won't bite any part of your face.
That's okay. I mean, AB, I like it too much. There will be no physical altercation, and I can make a promise to you and everyone else out there that I'm not going for biting face or ears or fingers or any of that stuff. I'm not. That's not the way. Let's just leave.
Has he been like you get automatically let go for that, right?
I believe he was suspended or something like that. I mean, I would imagine, like, for example,
that doesn't fly.
In your hypothetical example, if I bit your nose, I would expect to be fired. Like, let's just be honest.
Well, I think Jason and Luke would want to know what happened, because in that scenario, they would be like, all right, AB probably did something there, but
okay. Well, if it was anyone else other than
if it was anyone else, it'd be automatic. But yeah, in that scenario. Just a temporary suspend. 2 weeks, no pay, and then a little slap on the wrist. No more biting people's nose. Like, what is he? A third grader? Like, I remember, kids in like first grade used to get in trouble for biting people. Exactly, corporate workers with me. There's always that one kid in school who resorts to biting. All right, JD. Should we look at well, that's not GD. Should we look at GD real quick before we gotta head out? General Dynamics showing some strength today.
Yeah, and actually holding this level here. I wouldn't be surprised if if this got some movement after the FOMC, but we'll see. Sarah, we do have a catalyst here. Shares of defense stocks are trading higher after Russian President Vladimir Putin mobilized more troops to Ukraine, which has raised concern of the Ukraine war escalating. So we talked a little bit about that. General Dynamics up on that. I would imagine RTX is probably up on that. Yep, looks like all these. LMT, probably the same thing. All look the same. Those charts look the same.
Yeah, and I do, looking at GD's chart on the daily, just like looking at it on a wide, there are a few stocks out here that are actually like kind of close that are all-time highs I've been looking at. Have you noticed? Have you been looking at any of those stocks, Ryan?
Which ones?
Just in general, there's like a handful of stocks I feel like out there that are at their all-time highs, while the market certainly isn't. So that's like, I'm looking at, oh wow, you're showing some relative. First Solar is one, Enphase Energy, General Dynamics.
Energy names, and those are also, the Inflation Reduction Act trying to be legislation towards opening up some of these renewables. That doesn't surprise me. My only question is, where does the energy trade stop? I think that the renewables, that this is going to have some legs, but I definitely get this one. Sun W is the one here that we've talked about on this show quite a bit.
Yeah, but something like Enphase, certainly it makes sense, right? Getting this positive catalyst from the thing,
Sure.
But I still feel like a lot of the tailwinds, a lot of the benefits that these companies are going to get from the bill are still years down the road. So it wouldn't surprise me to see these things run out of steam at some point. No pun intended, because I do think steam is like a renewable energy thing, right? But there are other stocks outside of clean energy too. I brought this up on the show not this show, but Benzinga Live the other day. Oh, actually, it's not anymore. But like Ulta Beauty a week ago was trading at all-time highs. Same with Elf, another cosmetics company. There are like weird pockets of strength out there that I'm like, whoa, why are you so high while the market's not?
Yeah, don't have any angle for you on the beauty products.
No, I didn't know if you were, if you were the one going to Ulta and pushing these stocks higher or not, Ryan. But I do, a lot of traders out there like buying stocks. It goes kind of against conventional wisdom. A lot of people would think you don't want to buy stocks at all-time highs, right? They're going to come back down. But a lot of people try to find the stock showing these strengths and pushing higher and say, okay, I'm going to try to get another 3-5% out of this and then sell it. Do you like trading stocks like that or not really?
The stocks that break out above their all-time high?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, because they've got strength. We actually looked at one earlier. What was it? GIS, General Mills.
Sure.
We talked about this being a blue sky breakout, right? So we took a look at a weekly chart here, looked all the way to the left. This is going back to 1991. We're in new highs here. So yeah, I want to see these stocks continue to push. Now, the one caveat that I'll add to that, AB, is that the market has not been conducive to that strategy in 2022. So I actually haven't been doing a whole lot of this at all this year. What I have been doing has been trading intraday range breaks on those highs, but those are much shorter term trades. It's not the same as a nice swing like this after a stock breaks out.
Yeah, Brandon Mariano saying there was a news story yesterday about how beauty products are still having strong sales. I know that Estee Lauder CEO talked about that during like the 07-08 recession, that they call it the lipstick index, right? That people are still willing to buy lipstick during a recession. So who knows? Maybe that's just why those stocks are doing well, because people are like, hey, if we're heading toward a recession, at least we can buy these cosmetic companies. But all right, Ryan, thanks for letting me hang out with you guys today. It was fun. We'll be back.
Fun as always, AB.
We'll be back live trading tomorrow morning.
Absolutely, you know it.
Sounds good. See you then, guys.
Stay safe today.
Will do, guys. Smash the like for Mr. Ryan Faloona. We've got an exciting last hour of the boot camp today, and then at noon, like Ryan mentioned, we will be transitioning to that town hall with Matt Maley, Anne Marie Bain, Tim Melvin, and Chris Capri. But coming up now, Chapter 2, we've got Craig and Anthony joining us from our good friends over at CME. You guys know that tool I was using earlier that was predicting the interest rate hikes from the Fed coming this afternoon. That was actually from the CME. That was the countdown. What's it called? The countdown to FOMC. Here, I'll pull it up to show you guys what I'm talking about. This was from CME, and they're hanging out with us backstage. This thing I was showing you guys earlier. This is from our good friends over at CME. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring on Craig and Anthony from CME. Craig,
Great.
Anthony, how are you guys doing today?
Real good. Thanks, Aaron. How's my audio?
Your audio is good.
Good.
You sound good. You look good, buddy.
I don't know. Face for radio and everything.
What's up, Aaron?
Not a whole lot. We've just been, today, big news. Everyone's been waiting for 2 p.m. for this FOMC announcement. Outside of that, man, we're just hanging out here at Benzinga, tracking all the biggest news of the day.
Yeah, it's a big day, man. I think it's going to be really wild. I mean, I think this is going to be one of the wildest days we've had in a while for an FOMC day, because I think that there's still that uncertainty out there of what they're going to do. I know the CME tool says what right now, 75 basis points?
CME tool is given a 82% chance, so about 1 in 5 chance for 100, but pretty much 80% chance we're going 75.
Yeah, it would be interesting if they did 100 though, wouldn't it?
You seem ready. You want the volatility. You want the craziness, huh?
Yeah, I do. Yesterday was wild.
Yeah. So before we get started, why don't you guys just give a brief introduction to our audience for anyone who may not be familiar with CME, and then I know you guys have a PowerPoint presentation ready as well.
Sure. So yeah, and thanks for having us on, Aaron, and kind of on behalf of CME, thanks to Benzinga. It's, you've been a great partner to us as we sort of try to spread the word and educate the trading public on futures and options on futures, which incidentally is what CME is. It's the world's largest futures and options exchange, offering products everywhere from short-term interest rates to things with feet like cattle and everything in between. So we're really excited about the new contract that we're here to talk about today. And I won't get into that just yet. And just for sake of background, this is my second go around at CME. Actually, I was there in the early 2000s. I left for about 9 years and went to go work for one of the proprietary trading groups in Chicago, and then came back in 2016. So I've gotten to be involved since 2016 in some pretty high profile product launches, not the least of which has been the micro equity indexes. And if you follow the markets at all, I think the success of those has been pretty well documented. And they really opened up futures and options to a whole new universe of traders. And I think these event contracts takes that to a whole nother level. I think they could be really game changing. And I'm really excited about it. We're really excited about it. I think Anthony's really excited about them. And with that, I'll let Anthony introduce himself, and then we'll kind of get into the presentation a little bit.
Yeah, just to clarify, everybody, I know they said with CME. I'm not with CME. You can see my jacket behind me. I've been a member there for years. I'm just a trader using CME Group products. And I'm excited about these products. I've actually been trading a bunch of them. I've got actually some of them on right now. I'm long. Well, you say long, but I bought some of the no's for the euro just because I think the dollar is probably going to be poised to rally again for today. And for me, for someone who doesn't really want to have much of a position on going into FOMC, I could still, put out there the way I want to play the markets with a fixed amount of risk. So, I mean, I know we'll talk more about these event contracts as we go along, but like I said, I think that they're for really all levels of traders. I've been doing this for over 24 years, and I'm using them already. And I think for a lot of newer traders or people that have never traded before, even before they even step foot into markets, this could be a really good product for them because they could do a fixed risk trade in a market that maybe is a little complex for them, and it's just they're not a sophisticated trader. So it's they're a product I think is going to really have a big impact on the trading industry.
Yep. Thanks, Anthony. With that, I think let's jump into the presentation we've got real quickly, and I'll run through this pretty quickly because I think what people want to hear about is kind of how Anthony's looking at these from a trader's perspective. But let's introduce the products so that everybody knows what they are and how they work first, because obviously that's an important element to this. So we've got a disclaimer here. It's kind of standard, but I do want to point out the part that's highlighted in yellow. These aren't available in every jurisdiction. So if you're outside of the United States, just make sure that these products don't run afoul of any local jurisdiction or regulatory bodies that you might be subject to. This audience, or this is intended towards those in the United States here. So just wanted to point that out on the disclaimer. Everything else is, I think, fairly garden variety. I'm not going to read it word for word. I would encourage everyone to check out CME's educational website called CME Group Institute. And if you Google that phrase, CME Group Institute, it'll take you right there. And it's got material from what I would consider 101 all the way up to, sort of 400 level educational material on futures and options. And I don't think there's ever such thing as knowing too much. So whether you're just getting started in futures or you're a seasoned veteran, I think there's something there for you. So I would encourage everyone to go check it out. I think it's a world-class educational portal on our website. So with that table of contents, our agenda is really simple. We're just going to go over what these are, what's available, and how they work. And then, like I said, I'm going to kind of turn it over to Anthony a little bit so he can talk about how he looks at these products as a trader. And Anthony, feel free to jump in as I go through this over the next couple minutes. If you think I missed something, or you can add some color or clarification to anything I talk about. But I would consider my part, I guess, a little bit more of the boring part, as we describe what these are, and then we'll get into the more exciting part with Anthony. So with that, we'll jump into it. So what are they? Anthony kind of pointed out a couple of the attributes as he was introducing the product, but they're essentially simple products that allow a trader to express a view on whether they think the market's going up or down. And it's quite that simple. So every day, starting on Sunday at 5 p.m. Central Time, we're going to introduce 10 new products, and we're going to get into which 10 they are in just a second. And that's when they open. So starting again at 5 p.m. on Sunday night, you can take a position on whether you think, for example, the S&P or gold or WTI crude is going to close higher or lower the next day. And the contract value is one or the other when they settle. And we're going to get into the settlement time too. But when they settle, you're either going to receive $20 if you bought the contract, or you're going to receive $0. And we're going to get into the real details in just a second. But it's really that simple. That's the two values that are possible when these contracts settle. And then, as Anthony mentioned, the amount that you're risking is defined when you put on the trade. So if you put on a trade to express a position that you think the S&P is going to go higher, and you essentially buy that trade, he said long, the amount that you pay for that is the most that you can lose on that particular trade. And that's an important part. So, and really, when we talk about it in pragmatically, that amount's going to be anywhere from 25 cents to $19.75. And we're going to get into why right here in just a second. So here's the 10 products that are available. So we've got the 4 major U.S. indices: the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, and the Russell. So, I think, like I said, anybody that's even remotely involved in the markets kind of knows that those are the 4 sort of global benchmark indices. They're obviously on domestic U.S. stocks, but those are the 4 sort of major global indices that people track around the world. So all of those open, like I said, every day from Sunday through Thursday night at 5 p.m. We're not open on the weekends. So starting Sunday at 5 p.m., you can make a trade on all those. Those particular products are going to settle at 3 p.m. Central. We've got the Eastern times up here. Maybe it's less confusing if I just go with Eastern. So we've got 4 p.m. Eastern. That's when they're going to settle every day. So they start at 6 the prior day, and they end at 4 p.m. Eastern. We also have 2 energy products, WTI crude and nat gas. So again, everything starts at 6 p.m. Eastern. Those are going to settle at 2:30 Eastern. So the price at 2:30 is what that contract's going to settle to, not 4 o'clock like the stocks. And then metals, we've got gold, silver, copper. And again, that's 6. And those actually end, each one of those, I know it's a little confusing, but you just have to know that each one of those ends at a different time. Gold goes off at 1:30, silver at 1:25, and copper at 1 o'clock. And then finally, we've got, Anthony mentioned it. He said he has a position on right now in the euro. So we've got the euro foreign currency against the dollar. And again, that starts at 6 and that ends at 3 p.m. Eastern. So again, I know it's a little confusing that they don't all end at the same time, but the reason we did that is because that's when the underlying futures contract settles every day. And we wanted to make sure that there was a lot of liquidity when these things settled. So I want to be real clear here. This is simply a mock-up of a front-end GUI that CME created, but it's hypothetical. We actually, as an exchange, don't offer a front end to trade these products. If you want to trade these products, you need to open up an account at a brokerage firm that's offering them. So while the front end GUIs at some of our broker partners may look similar to this is simply like simply a rendition of what CME created when we kind of conceived of this idea. And we wanted to give an idea to the brokers of what we were thinking. But just keep in mind that that's all this is. This is not what you might see if you open up an account at one of the brokers that's listing these products. And for a list of those, I would encourage everyone to go to our website, cmegroup.com, and search for event contracts. And we've got the brokers that are making these available on the website, and you can open an account with any of those brokers. So what you see here is really kind of what it is. So, you can see it looks different if you're familiar with, a trading screen that's got bids and offers and things like that. Well, our idea was make it simple, make it easy for anyone that hasn't traded a future or even really traded any sort of security to get into the futures and options markets on these benchmark products and indices. So that first one says, we've got, again, and then this is all hypothetical, and probably we did this a while ago because we've got the current price of gold at 1915. So let's say the current price of gold in the futures market was 1,915 spot one. So we've got 3 different price levels here. In reality, there's more than that available every day in these products. But what we might call the at the money in sort of trading parlance is that first line there where it says, will the price of gold be above 1915? So that's the closest price level to what the price of gold was currently trading at when we put this together. So what we're saying there is if you've got an idea or if you want to express opinion on where gold's going, it says, will the price of gold be above this level at 130? If you think it will be, you can click yes. And that's essentially buying that. So you're saying, yeah, I think it's going to be higher than 1915. And for that, you would pay a hypothetical $11. So if when gold closes at 1:30 p.m., the price of gold is above 1915, you've paid 11, you'd get back 20. So you've made $9 on that trade. If you think it'll be lower, you think it'll be at 1915 or lower, you can hit no. You can pay $9 for that and you get back 20 and make $11. And it's really that simple. The execution of the trade is really that simple. And that's what that was our objective when we conceived of this product, is bring these markets, which are, again, global products, global benchmarks, into a world where more people can understand them, even if they haven't been trading. So that's kind of operationally how it works. You can see a couple notes on the right, and I tried to mention this as I was going through it. If you think the price will be above that in this case, it has to be above that. If you think it's going to be below that, it's at or below. And that's just kind of one of the nuances that you want to make sure of on the front end that you're trading on. I mentioned before, these are quoted in what we call 25-cent increments. So the lowest you'll ever pay for a particular product is 25 cents. And realistically, the highest I think you should ever pay is $19.75, because you can get back 20. I don't know why anyone would pay 20 to get back 20. You'd simply lose any fees that you had to pay on that. So realistically, the prices that you can expect on these is between 25 cents and $19.75. And really, that just depends on how far away from that price level the current price is, right? So you can see the third line on this says, will the price of gold be above 1920? Well, of course, you're not going to pay as much for that as you would for 1915, because the price is 1915 as we speak, right? In our hypothetical example. So as that price gets higher, naturally you're going to pay less for that product. And these prices are just estimates. We just kind of threw them together. They're somewhat realistic maybe, but they're just estimates, just to kind of give you an idea of what you might see. Most front ends, and again, we don't control what the broker provides, but I think most front ends, you're going to have the ability to do more than one contract at a time. So I just talked about the profit and loss if you were doing one, but like in our example here, you could change that 1 to a 2. So instead of paying 11 to get back 20 and make 9, you can change that quantity to 2. You can pay $22 and get back 40 to make 18. So again, these are small relative to most other futures products, But if you do want to take more risk, if you do have a strong conviction or whatever, you can up that quantity to sort of increase that risk reward profile. And finally, you don't have to hold these. And again, I want to be very clear. It depends on what your broker's front end, but I think most brokers' front ends are going to allow you to both get into these positions and out of them. So you're not going to necessarily have to hold this until it settles, until that settlement time I was showing before. So let's say you bought that gold contract that I was talking about before at 1915, when the price was around 1915. And then right after you bought it, right after you clicked yes, the price spiked to, I don't know, 1950 for whatever reason. Something happened, the price spiked higher. Now all of a sudden, it might not be worth 1975, but you might be able to, you paid 11 in our example. Now they might be offering that at 16 or 17 or 18. So you paid 11, you can get out of that before it settles, just because, you don't want it to have the ability to come back down. It spiked higher. Maybe it's going to break right back down. Maybe you just want to take your profits that, that sort of happen immediately in something like that. You can do that. You don't necessarily have to hold these contracts until they settle, until the settlement time that we were showing before. So finally, just a real quick conclusion, and then we'll get back to Anthony for his thoughts and some Q&A. But again, these are straightforward. They're intuitive. They allow individuals to access 10 of the most sort of global futures contracts that I can think of. So and again, they're daily. So every Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern, they start, and then the last contracts will be listed Thursday night at 6, and then they'll end on Friday, and then we'll pick it back up on Sunday evening. And again, I just mentioned this, they'll be between 25 cents and 1975. You'll have multiple price levels to choose from every day, right? So again, that goes back to that, what I was talking about, the price level that was right around where the future was trading. It's probably going to be priced somewhere around $10, right? Because the price is either going to go up or down from there, right? But maybe you have a strong conviction that the market's going to rally strongly, right? So instead of paying 10, you think the market's really going to take off. You're going to find that price level that's a little bit further away, maybe pay $5 or $4 for that trade, because you have this, sort of conviction that the market's going to move more. It's going to really rally. So, you're going to sort of increase that profit potential. Now, of course, by definition, there's less of a probability that, you're going to be right? Because again, if you're buying the 15 you're buying the 25 instead of the 15, well, it has to move more. So obviously, by definition, the likelihood of it being what we would call in the money at the end is going to go down. But maybe that's kind of what your sort of core belief for that day and that product is. Finally, the amount of capital at risk is defined when you make that trade. So again, in my example, if you paid 11, that $11 is the most you can lose. And it's really that simple. And finally, like we just went over, you can get out of it anytime you want prior to that settlement time. So again, we think these are going to open up futures and options trading to a whole universe of traders who have an interest in these products, but for whatever reason, futures are too big or they're too complex or whatever. It's a way to get exposure to these markets. And so, Anthony, I know you're really excited about these. With everything that you've got going with them, you've said you've already taken a position in some of them. And maybe it's not fair to say that they're only for beginners, right? Because you just mentioned that you're using them, right? You've been involved in this for a long, long time. So, kind of what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I love them, especially for days like today. I see a lot of people like Easy Mike's talking about watching energy again because we just sold off. So last night I was like, you know what? I think the dollar is going to keep going off or keep going up. I talked about that a little bit at the beginning. That's why I actually said I was long the nose in the euro. So last night the euro was trading right around 1.0025. And that was one of the strikes. And I said, I think it's going to close below that because I think the dollar is going to keep going up. I mean, look at the 2-year. This morning is at 4%. So I'm like, they're probably going to see the dollar go up. So instead of me establishing a short position in euro, because I want to get my beauty sleep, Craig, right? And I don't want to be just sitting short euro going into a Fed day. I bought some no's, and the no's just basically make me short, and it's defined risk. It was $10 because, like you said, you mentioned it's just at the money. So at that point, I could buy up to 250 of those if you wanted at once. That's the most you could do in one click, but you can keep buying more. So it's not really limiting you in terms of position size, but you're able to do it with an exact fixed amount versus like me being short and putting a stop up there. And who knows, it could blow through my stop. It could one tick me, hit my stop, and then come back down. And you're like, well, it is what it is. We've all been there, right? So then you look at crude oil. Like crude oil right now is trading 82.74-ish. So right now, all you do on my app, and I have a whole podcast series coming out about this, everybody, you can just go to placeyourtrades.com. It's all free stuff. We're giving away free stuff and even some free trades. If you go and look at what we're looking at for crude oil, so I click on that, I'd show you on my phone if you could see it. But it's like right now, the current strike is 83. And when you look at because we're below it, will it close above 83? And because we're pretty much right at the money, you could say no if you think crude's going to keep going down. And right now, that strike is only going to cost you around $2.50, $3. So it's really cheap. So if you think we're just going to keep going down in crude oil, you could buy the no instead of being short. I mean, obviously, right now on the app, everyone's really still buying the yes. They think it's going to rally above it. But you can do that as a fixed trade. And like Craig said, if it closes above it, you get paid $20 back for, let's just say, your $3 trade. Right. So at that point, you're making a lot more money than the risk you're putting up. But once again, it's fixed risk and you don't have to worry about, all the different price action. And I've been a price action trader my whole career. Right. I mean, it's always about going from one level to the next level. Right. And it's a lot of times we're right in the level that we think it's going to go. But the journey to get there could be really difficult. Right. It doesn't always go there the way that we want it to, So, I mean, that's why I really like these as a veteran trader. I could just express my opinion on which way I think it's going, put the fixed risk trade on and get on. And then I actually want to talk about one other quick thing, like yesterday's close. It was me and my buddy Merritt, and there's a few of us that are, in a chat, and he was long a bunch of the yeses to close above 38.75 in the S&P. And I actually was long just a few of the no's. I was just kind of doing a fading thing against them. And the close was crazy because like with 10 minutes to go, you could have bought the 38.75 no's for like $5-6, meaning that they were going to close below there. And it's like, could that happen? And so at that point, the market just broke like 15 handles and we're like, this is going to close right on it. Right. And so we're even having a little competition between us because, we could both express our opinions. It's a fixed amount. You could trade as little as, $10 or $6 like on that trade, or you can do it 100 times and spend $600. And so you could do as much as you want. And it ended up closing just below 75. If you saw that S&P close yesterday, and then I got paid out on mine. He didn't hold all of his because as they started to come back, going back to what Craig said, he's going, man, this thing might come back all the way down and close below it. And so he got out of some of his as a profit. So it's, there's all sorts of ways I think you can trade this. But the bottom line is, like I said, I'm using my app right now. And, we use Tradeovate through placeyourtrades.com. And like I said, if you're interested in this stuff, we're doing a whole bunch of stuff on it there. It's super simple. And, and within one day of me using this app, it's like, it's nothing. It's really that easy. And it's to me, you can make trading as inexpensive as you want or as expensive as you want with it. So I think that's what opens it up the doors to the people that want to come in and participate. Going back to that crude oil one, like if you really think crude oil is going to rally or break from here, instead of going to the futures, you can pull up and just pick the strike you want. Like, the $84, is it going to rally all the way above there? You have to wait and see what that would do. It's way out of kind of the money, but you have a very inexpensive play to do it that's fixed. So I really like it.
Yeah, I think that's an important point, right? Because we think we've got enough. Anthony keeps using the word strikes, and that's technically the proper term to use these on an option. You can kind of think of them as price levels. So we think we've got enough price levels out there such that, there'll always be something around where the market is trading at a given time. And again, there's no guarantees on what the price is going to be, but logically speaking, you would, I think, expect to pay somewhere around the $8 to $12 range, depending on a few different things, because either going to go up or down. But like Anthony said, you may think it's going to really rally And, so you can risk less money than that, $2, $3, $4, $5, because you think that it's going to really get up there, and sort of it just changes the risk reward. But regardless of what you do, that risk that you put out is the max you can lose on a trade. And I think that's important because, I think one of the things, like I said, the micro futures contracts have really opened up futures to a whole universe of new people because, they were simply much smaller than, the products that were out there before, which, are great products for institutions and even some individuals, but they're big for a lot of individuals. This kind of takes that to the next step where it takes kind of that leverage, what we call leverage, or sort of, the idea that you can lose more than you put in, takes that out of the equation, right? So if you buy something for 11, that 11 is the most you can lose on that. So I think those are a couple of important elements to these products.
Yeah, I think Chris is asking me what the website is about. We're just doing a bunch of fun podcasting, and we're going to be doing live picks on air. Like I said, it's just on placeyourtrades.com, all about event contracts. I mean, I host Futures Radio Show, which I'm going to be doing a live stream at 12 o'clock later today about the Fed and stuff. That's different. But like for this, it's going to be all about these yes or no contracts. So I don't know if anybody else has any other questions. Yeah, they're moving pretty quickly. I know that, the thing is, on a day like today, I think for a Fed day, what I'll be looking at, I think we might as well talk about it. I'll probably be really focusing in a lot. I'm not going to watch my Euro one as much right now, but the S&P, I think if the Fed does, let's just say they do the 75 basis points, and you think that potentially could be bearish and we see a big rally up, instead of shorting into it, I might buy some no's at some strikes that I think that we can come all the way back down and get involved in, versus like stepping out and trading it. I'll be doing both, but that's what I would use this for, is something where I would say, you know what, this might happen, but it's going to be hard for me to manage risk by shorting up here, because who knows how far it could go. So I step in and buy a fixed no at whatever that strike may be. Let's just say we were spike up to like 3,900. I might buy like a 38.75 no and say, you know what, we're up here, but that might only cost me a few bucks. Buy as many as I want, and if it does happen, great. But if it doesn't, I'm only spending a small amount for a fixed risk, which would be, for me, I trade pretty aggressive in the futures, but it's going to be a lot cheaper than me trying to step in and get short on a Fed day. So, and there's just all sorts of ways you can play it.
So I think we just got a couple minutes if there are any other questions on either for Anthony or on the product themselves.
Yeah, I know you mentioned the tickers, but I think I'll just go over them real quick again. So we got E-mini S&P, E-mini NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, crude oil, gold, euro, nat gas, silver, and copper, right? I'm sure some people, just to give them a kind of a recap of that, because I know that these are really the most popular ones out there when it comes to the future side. But these are the ones that are out there, and like I said, to me, the S&P and the NASDAQ are the one I'm watching the most. But I don't trade a ton of oil or natural gas. And I know some of you might be like that as well. It's really nice. Like I said, I'm doing some crude oil stuff where you go in there and you can put it on and you don't have to look at it and micromanage my ticks on the dome. It's already started.
It's kind of hard to find a financial or commodity product that's not trading at sort of elevated implied volatilities these days. But these in particular, I think, obviously the stock market, the energy market, the foreign currency market, maybe to a little lesser extent, the metals, but, obviously with what's happening on a global sort of macroeconomic level right now in the world, I think this is also a pretty good time to have introduced these products because in one way or another, they've got global significance right now. And, they're all kind of interconnected, right, with what's happening. But like Anthony said, these are, I think, some pretty relevant products, with the, sort of state of the world today.
Yeah, exactly. Like I know I trade S&P and NASDAQ a ton. I trade Russell a good deal amount too. I don't trade the Dow, but there's some days I might look at the Dow and say, I want to make a play there. Natural gas and crude oil are two markets that I like. Natural gas, I don't trade it really, outright. So it's something that I'll look at natural gas if I have a play there. Crude oil I trade on the screen, and I'll use these for, like I said, just a bigger picture, kind of view for the day. I know it seems for me, because I'm so short term, if I think now for crude oil, I just have to find out what I think the close is going to be, which I like a lot more for a product like that for me. I'm not trading it as active right now. And so I think this is a good way for me to still be able to participate in a product like that if I have an idea of where I think it can close.
So,
all righty, we'll see if we get any other questions coming in. Other than that, I think we've pretty much covered everything. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Anthony, for joining us today. Wow, you guys can see how dark it is behind me right now. I see a big storm coming in.
Are you in South Florida?
No, I wish. We're in Detroit, Michigan, but up here in the upper Midwest, I guess there's some nasty weather coming our way. Yeah, guys, again, I'll hold you on for a couple more minutes to see if we have any final questions. Other than that, guys, smash the like for Anthony and Craig. Thank them for coming in and explaining how some of the exciting things CME is doing right now, especially in these different futures markets. So let's see. I don't know if this is for you guys. We'll get to some other questions. All right. Craig, Anthony, you guys, unless you have any final last words, enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you for hopping on Benzinga's boot camp this month.
Thank you for having us, Aaron. Cheers, my friend.
Great. Thanks a lot, Aaron.
No problem. All right, guys. And if you want to get more information from CME, those links should be in the chat. I'll drop them again as well. Quick rundown for the rest of the day. So Gareth Soloway from In the Money Stocks will be joining us here momentarily. We'll be running through what Gareth has been watching, some of his trading strategies, both for the FOMC meeting this afternoon and just in general with the volatility and kind of trade-off we've seen. Gareth is a real nimble trader doing a bunch of different things. Always so exciting to see the names he's watching right now. And then after that, we will be transitioning into our town hall again with Matt Maley, Anne Marie Bain, Tim Melvin, and Chris Capri. Guys, this has been something that we're real excited about. So basically in our Benzinga ecosystem, we have different professional traders, Chris Capri, Anne Marie Bain, Tim Melvin, and we are going to get them all together during this town hall. So we have one place where people can ask questions, figure out, okay, my portfolio's down X amount over the last 2 months. What can I do? Whatever. So we're excited for this at noon. Do not go anywhere. This stream will automatically redirect you there in about 27 minutes. So while we're waiting for Gareth Soloway to join us, why don't I just pull up my Benzinga Pro? We'll go through how the indices are performing as we head into the FOMC announcement. If we have any big headlines, if anyone has any tickers they want us to check out, we'll have about 5 minutes here or so. All right. How do I get this? Here we go. All right. What do I got pulled up here? Oh, the first thing that popped up on my Benzinga Pro is Alibaba. Shares of Chinese companies are trading lower. Weakness is possibly due to U.S. lawmakers urging the Biden administration to blacklist Chinese semiconductor company Yangtze Memory Technologies. Global equities remain volatile ahead of today's Fed decision. Yeah, guys, we've been talking about these different Chinese names. I'm still in the camp where, look, your risks, right? If you're buying Baba here, there are regulatory risks with the U.S. government and China. There are risks within China about if they, continue to shut down, maintain their zero COVID policy, etc. But if you are willing to tolerate those risks and say, okay, Baba at $83, right? If you go to some of the fundamentals, a forward PE of 10, a price to sales of lower than 2 is worth taking on those risks, then yeah, you can add some shares in the long term. I'm not talking about a swing trade. I'm not talking about, for next week, right? I think there's, a lot of weakness out there and that could continue. But if you were going to tell me, hey, Aaron, I'm going to add a few shares of Baba to hold for 10 years in the essentially betting that U.S. and China relations are going to remain okay, basically not have this huge falling out, I wouldn't argue with that. I'd say, yeah, your risks, you're going in. and you understand that. And again, this is not an investment advice. If I were giving investment advice, which I'm not, I would say stay away from Chinese names. They're riskier. They're riskier than U.S. names. But I'm not giving financial advice. So again, if you wanted to say, hey, I'm willing to take on some of those risks and buy this stock at what I see as a bargain, I'd say, yeah, go ahead. But I've been talking about BABA for a while, and my thesis hasn't really changed on it. I certainly wish I wouldn't have been buying it where I was, but hey, you live and you learn. Let's look at the Qs. Looking at the Qs right now, we are up about 0.4%. So, I don't expect to see any big movements in the Qs in the SPY until 2 p.m. I already essentially gave my prediction earlier when we were talking with Ryan about what's going to happen this afternoon. And again, if we want to, I'll say it again, essentially that what I think is going to happen, what I think we'll see happen, is we'll see the Fed announce 75. You might see the market react a little positively from that because that takes the uncertainty out. Okay, we're not getting that full percent. But then when Powell starts talking 30 minutes later at 2:30, he's going to want to sound tough. He's going to want to say, hey, look, I know everyone's looking at us to bring down inflation, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do it no matter what it takes, no matter how high we need to jack rates, no matter how high we need to keep them, or for how long we need to keep them high, right? I don't care if we see unemployment. I'm talking as if I'm Jerome Powell right now. He's going to say, I don't care if we see, well, he might not say this outright, but here's what he's going to imply. Is he's going to say we're willing to tolerate pain in the labor market, right? He's already said that. He's basically, saying we're willing to see the unemployment rate come up. We're willing to see potentially even a recession if that means inflation comes down. And I don't think the market's going to respond too well to that at 2:30, although on the flip side, that's the expectation. Like, I don't know anyone out there on the street who's expecting Powell to come out and sound dovish, right? No one is expecting that. He's expected to come out and sound hawkish. So if the expectation is for 75 and the expectation is for Powell to come out and sound hawkish and all this happens, we might still see the market sell off 2%, or whatever. I might call that silly, though. I might say, hey, look, why is the market selling off of something that we all were expecting to happen? But I'm excited. I think it'll be a fun afternoon. We'll see some volatility. I think, careful, because whatever that initial move is, we could see that potentially, a fade. Let's do this. I don't know if there's a good way to go pull up the intraday chart of an old day, but let's see. So the last Fed decision day was July 22nd. So if I go back to July 22nd, let's see if I can do that on. I've never tried to do this on Benzinga Pro. Can I zoom in on July 22nd, change it to a 10-minute? Nope, now all right, this might take forever to get back to, actually it's not taking that long. All right, while I'm doing this, drop any tickers in the chat you want me to check out here on Benzinga Pro. Oh, we do have Mr. Gareth Soloway hanging out backstage. All right, since I'm already so close, what day did I say that was? July 27th. All right. Here's the 27th. All right, so Powell gave his speech. So looks like basically this day we just ripped and then had a sell-off. But there's been other past couple times where we've had the initial move. Oh, yeah, here. So 2 p.m., the initial move was to the downside. Here's the FOMC announcement. And then when Powell starts speaking 30 minutes later, you get that move to the upside. I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of reversal like that, right? I think just volatility is going to be increased when we bring this, or when we get this news coming out. All right, guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and bring Mr. Gareth Soloway on the stream. Been too long since we had him on Benzinga from InTheMoneyStocks.com. Mr. Soloway, how you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me back.
I appreciate you joining us. I know you just finished streaming on your channel, so I appreciate you hopping from stream to stream, no break. I know how that's difficult sometimes.
No problem at all. It's always, as long as it's markets, I love talking about it.
Beautiful. So we haven't had a chance to catch up in a while. I want to ask you about kind of what you've been trading, how you've been trading. Obviously, markets have been crazy, and then of course we can get into today, if you have any, what your strategy is for this afternoon, essentially.
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of trading, I've been keeping it real short term. I'm finding that getting in and then holding for a day or two and then just getting out with a relatively small profit is the way to play in this bear market. I find that if I stick around too long, inevitably the market or the stock is going to grind lower. So again, stocks like SE, those are great trading vehicles. You can see again here you have this beautiful kind of downward move. It's one I'm keeping an eye on. You can see a little bit of a pivot low right there. You have this also pivot low from over here. So little ones like that. It's just, I think, again, in the bull market, we'd always look for just holding and looking for those massive gains. And investors have to adjust to the kind of the new market, a market where the Fed isn't backstopping it with printing of money. So again, those type of things I've been trading. I mean, on a swing trade basis, I've actually been underwater, but I've been really accumulating this GSK. It's been absolutely clobbered. They've got a few lawsuits going on that's kind of hampering the stock. But, it's an old trusty pharmaceutical play, and I'm sure that they'll come through it at some point and you'll get a bounce on it. But yeah, for the most part, it's waiting for the Fed today. I'm expecting 75 basis points. The key is going to be, and the market expects 75, it's going to be what does he say, right? And you were just going over that prior. The initial move and then his commentary after that, which is going to be the more important thing. And everyone should just remember, it's very much like earnings, right? So a company reports earnings, that's the equivalent of how many basis points. And then the guidance is what the market usually moves on for the next meeting, if you will.
Yeah, and I think that's where I stand, right? Everyone wants to talk about what the actual number is going to be, and we can talk about that all we want. But I think the more important thing is going to be what Powell says and his tone. And like I said, like, it's just, is anyone expecting him to come out and sound anything other than extremely hawkish and say, hey, we're going to need to do whatever it takes to bring down inflation? Like, I feel like it's going to be silly to watch the market go down when he starts talking, because it's like, everyone knew he's going to say this. So maybe, I don't know. I'm not saying that's for sure what's going to happen, but I don't know anyone really out there thinking, oh, he's going to come out there and pump up the markets,
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. He has to stay the course. He has to show that he's taking control. The bigger thing for me, it's going to be like little nuances, like one word changes that the market could rally on. And the other thing that I'll watch for is dissension. So, when they show how many people vote for a 75 basis point, we're going to see how many people dissented. Did some people start to push for the 50 basis points instead? Were some people saying 100? What's the spread on that? And I think that's how the Fed uses to communicate things versus Powell coming right out and being like, hey guys, we're going to pivot now. He's not going to come out and say that. You're 100% right. So we have to look through his kind of chatter and get a gauge on what it is. And the one thing I would say, and this is nuts, but the Fed has to be so careful here, because we know that when they hike rates, it takes like 3 months to kind of get into the economy. So now this will be the third 75 basis point hike in basically 4 months or so. At what point does he say, wait, let's wait a little while and see how the economy is? Because if we go into a bad recession because they've been hiking, how does the Fed get us out of that recession? They can't print money, right? I mean, they can't do what they did when inflation was sub 2%. So that's going to be the kicker. And I'm really concerned we could be getting into a scenario where we could be stuck in this kind of long drawn out mediocre economy, slight recession for like 5-10 years.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, right, you see, and I see someone in the chat saying how forward guidance is looking bad across the world, right? And people now have been saying, right, we've seen a huge crush in multiples, and now a lot of people anticipating this crush due to earnings next. And a lot of people are saying that before last earnings cycle, and what ended up happening was there were actually more beats than misses across the board. So I think expectations for the next earnings season, which will start here in about a month, to be a little bit different. But I don't know about you, Gareth. It almost, the way it seems like everyone is so bearish right now makes me question. Like, I've been looking at some really I saw on the Bitcoin chart you had some looked like if maybe you had some consolidation or bottoming out. Like, when will be a time for you essentially that you start looking and saying, hey, growth is so beaten up, so down here, that it's time to start looking at some of this stuff on the long side.
Yeah. So, and I think you are going to get, at some point, the Fed is going to signal that they're going to start to at least reduce the size of the hikes, right? So whether it's from 75 this meeting to maybe, I don't think they have a meeting in October, but then November, maybe 50. And the market is just looking for that. It's like a kid in a candy store. It's going to be a massive short squeeze when that does happen. But the problem is, it's not going to be long lasting, right? But for us as swing traders, that's going to be a big move. You're going to see kind of this short squeeze rally that kind of catches everyone off guard. Because you're right, people are overly bearish. Everyone expects the Fed to just continue to hammer the market and say they're going to continue to raise indefinitely. And so if we get that little bit of a minor break in their chatter, that would be the case for where you see Bitcoin start to rip. And you can see Bitcoin's right into this area of support here. So, it potentially could be setting up. I do think Bitcoin still has further downside to go in this bear market, but at least in the near term, remember, rip your face off rallies occur in bear markets, massive moves to the upside. So people have to be ready for that. And I think once you get the sentiment, like that's going to be the kicker, is when the Fed does pivot, everyone's going to get super bullish and then we'll bounce. And then that's probably the time where we'll have another leg down and catch everyone off guard.
Yeah. And I think that's what you have to do right now, is instead of trying to, make any, I guess kind of like outlandish predictions, just wait. And then once you start hearing the Fed give hints that, okay, now it's starting to realize, or maybe it's looking at housing prices or unemployment ticking up, then they're saying, okay, maybe we need to start cooling down a little. And you start to notice, and then that's when you can start saying, okay, now we're not completely fighting the Fed. Now we can start adding some of these long growth positions. But yeah, man, I'm always like, if everyone and their mom's short, I'm out here thinking like, all right, it's not going to be that easy, right? It's not going to be as easy as everyone can just go buy SPY puts and everyone's going to make a lot of money.
Right. I agree 100%. It's never that easy. If it was, everyone would be really wealthy and,
Right. And that's what I worry about. Like, I try to think of what like the max pain scenario is. And maybe it's that, finally a bunch of retail, which I think retail has gotten more bearish, but may not really necessarily, short from an actual position standpoint. So if people start then getting short, and then you start seeing maybe some of these like short squeeze rally, I could see people getting really, bear markets, right? People end up losing money that are short and long. It's not easy.
Yeah. It is not easy. And I think Bitcoin's been a great example of that, how, if you go to the Bitcoin chart here, it keeps on. So this first trend line right here is the 2017 highs. And look at how it broke below, closed, and then it rallied back above. So think about the people that had stops right below there. They got wiped out. Then shorts jumped on board there thinking, oh, it's going to now collapse further. And it reversed. Then it did it again here, and again over here. And they just, it's been just whipping people out back and forth. Now, eventually, I do think it does have another leg to like 12, 13,000. But the markets are notorious for kind of just catching people off guard, faking people out and all that stuff. So you really have to know how to read the charts. And then also you just want to be in the position of not committing all your capital. Do small positions, feel it out, and then you can always maneuver. That's one of the best things that ever changed in my trading, is not going all in, but instead playing it conservatively, because then I could always trade around the position. If it didn't go exactly the way I thought, at least I had capital on the side to maneuver to work it in my favor.
Yeah. And I know Bitcoin specifically now, right? You're in this range where we've kind of been in the 18 to 22,000, whatever you want to call it, for a few months now. Where what would, like, if we essentially just break down from these levels, then would you be super bearish Bitcoin, or as long as we hold this, do you think we're okay?
Yeah, I think we're definitely in this zone where today the Fed is going to say whatever they're going to say, the dollar is going to move, and Bitcoin and stocks are going to go in the opposite direction. And so today is a very pivotal day for Bitcoin, because if the Fed continues to be hawkish and the dollar rips higher, then you probably see a breakdown below 17.5, and that opens the door to a move to about 12 to 13,000. On the reverse, if the Fed shows even the slightest bit of maybe micro dovishness, then you start trading up towards this trend line, which goes all the way back to the all-time highs on Bitcoin, through this pivot down to here. And if you can break that, now you potentially have a move up to like 25,000, maybe even 28,000. So to me, this is a major day where the charts are kind of confirming that we probably know a lot more after the Fed today, which direction it's going to go.
Yeah. Man, hey, we're only about 2 hours away right now. So when the time comes, right, and we do potentially start to hear the Fed, I don't want to say get dovish, but maybe just not be as hawkish, or like you said, start to give hints that it's gonna give smaller rate hikes. What are some like long names or maybe even industries that you want to be looking at?
Yeah, so I'd look at the beaten down tech names for any risk on. They're going to get the best performance. So obviously the Microsofts, the Apples, they'll do fine, but they're not going to go up 5-10% in a day. You're going to look at stocks like a Roku potentially. That's, you see this thing down from $500 to like 67 and change here. Those would be the ones that could go up 5-10% in a single day. Other names would be like a Roblox or an SE. We talked about that one earlier. Even a Square. A Square could be an interesting one. Anything that's been beaten down from like hundreds of dollars to the 50 to 75 range. Those would be ones that the slight pivot would be the best beneficiary of it, including, by the way, Bitcoin would do very, very well, I'm sure, in that scenario as well.
Well, how about we just pull up like ARKK's chart real quick? Because this one's been interesting to me. That actually has looked like it's I'm not going to say found the bottom, but it's like been consolidating in this range where certainly there have been times over the past 2 months where it's like I've been like, oh, I expect to see ARK down 5% today, and I look at it and it's like, oh, it's actually not down today. Like, and it's like, hey, that's kind of interesting to me. That I wouldn't say this environment over the past 3 months has been great by any means for growth, but ARK has been doing all right.
Yeah. So, and what's interesting about this chart is you have a very defined trend line marking off the lows, and you can see where we are going into the Fed. We're right on top of that support line here. So again, it tells us that, if the Fed again says something, this thing's off to the races. I think if you look here, it's kind of interesting because it looks like you have a parallel line. Let me do my parallel lines here. I'm a big fan of using parallels to kind of mark up where it could go. But basically you could look at this area here where it could go up to this 54 level. And that's a huge move. I mean, from 41 to 54.
Right.
But on the other side,
30% at that point.
Yeah, huge move up. But that would just get you to this kind of sideways consolidation upper range, which again makes a lot of sense. And then on the other side of the coin, if it broke this trend line, that's where you would have to step back. You'd expect it to go down to about the 35 double bottom down here. But it is holding support going into the Fed. Another signal that it's pivotal here. It's either going to break or it's going to rip.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not like going long this, or at least until we get any confidence that the Fed has some sort of a pivot in sight. But I think as long as this like is holding that level, right, then it's like I just like with how I think there's this expectation, right, that growth is like going to continue to get crushed. And it's like I'm looking at some of these names, and it's like Netflix. You had real like value investors coming in and buying Netflix at 180 a couple months ago, because it's like you've already seen some of these companies get crushed 80% from their highs. And some of them, Netflix, Meta, like some of those more established big tech companies actually make a decent amount of money every quarter. So when you get those, huge multiples crushed down to, 75, 80%, I think you start to get value investors interested as well.
I agree on names like Netflix. And the best signal on Netflix is when it collapsed after that period where it went down to 180 and change. I mean, people were like, oh, Netflix is done. No one watches Netflix. And when I hear that, my contrarian brain is like, buy. So the same thing on Meta, number one, look at the chart. I mean, you're coming into some epically big levels down here, right around like 140-ish or just below. We're almost there already. You can see the collapse. And like people are writing it off, like they're saying, oh, the metaverse is not going to be anything. Facebook's old news, Instagram, whatever. Advertisers aren't going to go there. Bottom line is they're still going to go there. They're still going to make a good amount of money. And now it's trading at a valuation where it's kind of intriguing as a value investor, like you're saying.
Yeah, and then if you get again any sort of pivot from the Fed, then you get growth investors interested as well, and you get that kind of double whammy. So again, I'm kind of just building my short list of names that when it does become a better environment to start throwing some money at these long names, like you said, I'm in complete agreement. The best opportunities are gonna be the ones that have been the most beaten down, right? Your Rokus, your Asanas, your I don't even know. Is Upstart still around? That might be one that.
Yeah, UPSD, I think.
Oh
yeah,
my, wait, why is Upstart up 8% today? What's going on?
Yeah. I mean, like, even look at like Unity Software, right? I mean, the stock's obviously been crushed from 200 to like $36, but it's actually green today. It's up 2%. So we are seeing there is some nibbling going on in some of these really beaten down names out there. And I think I looked at Square earlier. That was kind of borderline positive. Yeah, that stock's now up 0.5%. And so you're looking at some buying. There's some nibbling going on down here. Interestingly enough, ahead of the Fed, probably by people thinking that, hey, listen, yes, they're going to raise 75 basis points, but maybe, just maybe, they'll throw a bone to the market and say next time maybe we'll only raise 50, which would show you that the turn has come at least.
Yeah, and that's why I think the market would respond well if Powell says something along the lines of, hey, we need to become like data dependent here, which and I don't mind that, because that gives them the opportunity to be more hawkish or more dovish as data. That's how they should be, essentially, instead of saying, hey, we're going to remain as hawkish. I still think, just optics wise, kind of politically, that like Powell has an obligation right now to say, hey, because there was an idea out there from a lot of investors, a lot of people in general, that maybe we've seen inflation top out a couple months ago. And then, of course, that we got that bad CPI report. So now there's even more pressure, a bigger fire under him to come out and be tough against inflation.
Yeah.
So that's still my expectation. But and like you, like I hear everyone short right now, my contrarian brain starts going like, maybe now's the time I want to start adding to some of my long positions, right? When everyone is scared shitless.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And you're right. Like, so everyone should understand Jerome Powell's not going to come out and be dovish. Like, that's not going to happen. You're going to have to read between the lines. And that's what the market will do is, for me, I'm going to look at how many of the Fed, so the Fed presidents all vote on the rate hike, right? The voting members of the Fed. And so what I'm saying, I'm going to look for is, did everyone vote for a 75 or 100 basis point? If that's the case, then they're still really hawkish. If like a few were like 75 and then a few others were like at 50, that means you're starting to see that adjustment where there's more and more saying, let's take a pause here and see how the economy is in 2 months, and then see if we still need to rate hike. And I think those are the types of things. And plus in the Q&A, I'd love for someone to ask there, like say to Powell, okay, so you guys are ripping rates higher, but what happens if the economy goes into a recession where unemployment goes to 6 or 7%, but inflation is still 5%? How do you manage that scenario? And I'd love to hear his answer on that, because they can't be like, oh, well, we'll just do QE again. That's not going to fly with inflation where it is.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and there certainly is, there have been times, I think, historically looking back, where the Fed's been trying to fight high inflation with high unemployment. I think in the 70s they had that stop and go. So it's going to be an interesting time. I don't think, a lot of people, I think, are worried that the Fed isn't navigating this situation exactly perfectly. I don't know if there is a perfect way to do it, though. Yeah. So
and the Fed honestly hasn't shown that in past situations they've managed almost any crisis perfectly. Not that it's easy, but at the same time, they certainly don't have a great track record. And the other thing to point out is that when Volcker in the 80s was doing this, he hiked rates from like 12 to 18%, which is a massive hike. But think about it in percentage terms. It's about a 50% hike versus the impact that Jerome Powell is doing. He basically has raised interest rates from 0 to 3.25 now, or 250, but it's going to be 3.25. The percentage is massive right now. And to not think that it's not going to have some sort of negative impact on the economy is ludicrous.
Right. Well, Gareth, I appreciate you coming on. I know it's been too long since we've had you on. I'll talk to Brian. We'll get you back on soon here in the next couple of weeks, maybe when we'll have a day with more time. But man, good luck this afternoon if you're trading. Again, everyone smash the like for Gareth. Do you have any final words, final thoughts?
Just be careful. Don't try to guess ahead of it. I've always burned myself in the past saying, oh, I think this is going to happen. Let it happen, play it safe, and then react to what goes on at that point. But thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Always, man. All right, guys. Gareth Soloway in the money stocks. You can follow him at Gareth Soloway on Twitter. I'll drop that in the chat. All right, guys. I know a little bit of a different boot camp this month than normal. Usually we're going all day. Today we are going until noon. We're going to send you over to the town hall, though. Matt Maley, Chris Capri, Anne Marie Bain. Well, I'm getting a signal. I don't know what that means. 3 minutes, you said? 3 something. 3 minutes, we're going to go over to town hall. All right. Yeah, so in the next 3 minutes, we can, I'll pull my Benzinga Pro back up. Do one final check on the indices as we head into FOMC Wednesday. Fun Wednesdays, fun volatility. It is nice, too, I think. You know, we've been waiting over the past couple months with just with the market environment, with the Fed, with inflation, and it being summer. It's just been a little bit slower. I think we're finally getting to that full-fledged fall. People are back at their trading desks. People are back in the office. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited to get back to kind of more normal volatility, more normal volume in markets in general. Yeah, guys, look at how crazy this is. The volume bar down here for today. It probably won't let me zoom in on it, but you can see how low it is. And it's only noon, but it's still about halfway through the trading day. Typically, you'd see that volume bar be like up here, right? We've only traded 20 million shares of SPY, less than 20 million, 13. Yesterday, 77. So in a normal scenario, around noon, around 12, we should be at around like, you know, probably 35 million or so. Today we're at 20. That just shows you how everyone is sitting on their hands. Everyone is waiting. But yeah. Thanks, AB, in advance. What are you thanking me for? Thank you guys. Thank you guys for hanging out here. I'm just having fun, watching the markets. What I would be doing anyway. You know, no need to thank me, but I appreciate it. If you guys do want to follow me on Twitter, though, AaronBree5 on Twitter. I think someone lucky might be my 750th follower. We're gonna get to 1,000 soon, though. Don't worry. Yeah, I don't know. Were there any big? I don't know if there were any big headlines from Biden talking. Sounds like there was some. You know, he was talking tough against Putin or trying to. I do feel we were all just hanging out and not really trading before FOMC. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there are some, like, I just looked at Upstart up 7% today. Let me pull that chart up. I mean, like, there's some things happening out there. Trust me. If it's just a question of, do you want to be out there searching and reaching, or do you just want to hang out? I mean, yeah, here, let's pull up. This is Upstart on the 15-minute chart. So this thing just started ripping off the open. What about Upstart from a daily chart? I haven't looked at this stock in a while. I mean, yeah, this is just ugly. Look at this thing. Got up to $400. 400. Now you're down at 24. What is that drawdown? What is that drawdown from peak to bottom right now on Upstart? From 390, Google saying, so the 94%. Absolutely crazy. I don't know if that's one of those. I don't know if that's a company that stays around long term, honestly. All right, guys. Again, this stream will redirect you to the town hall. No need to go anywhere. Let me double check that real quick. Assume that redirect. Set town hall should be starting any second now. But yeah, guys. As always, pleasure hanging out. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video if you have not already. Any feedback for us on this month's boot camp? I know, again, different than what we would typically do on a boot camp. So next month we'll probably be back to normal where we'll go all day. But any feedback you have, you can email us, shows@benzinga.com. Thank you, JRP. We'll be back tomorrow. Normal scheduling tomorrow, live trading, Benzinga Live, you name it. We'll be back. Till then, love you guys. Again, smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Hang out for that town hall. This will be the single best educational piece regarding investing, regarding finance that you will be able to find out there on YouTube. I'm confident in saying that because it's not just, you know, me talking to you or one guy talking to you. It's 4 professional traders that have together more than 100 years of experience trading, investing, doing this stuff. And you will be able to ask questions. You'll be able to learn from these people in real time. So again, without further ado, Town Hall coming up now.